All right.
Look, we're here. We're live.
Hello.
That was quick. See how quick that was? I just pressed a button. Boom. We're quick. We're live.
Boom. Live.
I wasn't here last week. Mark, did you break the channel? Is everything still working?
I think it works. I don't think Hannah and I broke the channel, but we did have our own version of talking about 80s movies when we talked about like literature and like games that we had played and went off on tangents. So we did our own version of that.
That sounds boring.
To me, it sounds more interesting than 80s movies, but that's all right.
Look, we can't all be. Look, the shocked female thumbnail can't be shocked every single week, Steven. It's just, you would get. Think of all the wrinkles and lines you would get from the face, from the shock.
To drivers who are
sometimes you gotta,
experience
pacing. Steven.
Newer shells.
We did do two mini stories at the beginning, though.
Oh, you did?
The D&D Aloha shirt.
Oh, I saw that. Yeah,
was one of them, and now I'm blanking on what the other one was, but I know we did too.
I was so busy.
Maybe someone who's watching it remembers.
I tried to watch it, but the connection was really bad at in Louisville.
We also have Mark in chat, who was the one who super chatted enough to make it so that I have to write my own version of the Eldamon theme song.
That's right.
He super chatted like 40 and put you over the edge.
Put me over it. Yeah, well, he put me over the edge for sure.
He put you over the edge.
It was like
10 and he gave you money.
Listen. I'm gonna go all out with this. I work with a person in the Patreon. He's a professional musician. He audio mixes. I'm gonna send him my audio takes. We're gonna make this thing. We're gonna mix this thing up nice.
Derek's gonna be the very best.
Like no one ever was.
No one ever was.
And I do have all the images I can send you, Derik.
Awesome, fantastic.
So you don't have to do a damn thing except sing and modify your Leshy outfit to look like an Eldamon. I'm gonna look to see if I can find you a giant squirrel.
Actually, we probably have that from our root actual place somewhere.
Yeah, it could be fireless.
We've got a raccoon costume. We have a fox costume. We have a badger costume. We have a hedgehog costume. Anyways, how's everybody doing? How was GAMA, Steve?
Well,
I mean, just generically.
It was very good. GAMA is an interesting show. GAMA is a trade show for basically games and role-playing games and.
It's for the companies and the retailers, right?
Yes, it's mostly retailers. It's the companies and everyone. If you have a store, this is like where retailers go and they wine and dine and give you gifts, and you get
it's a gigantic boondoggle. Is that what you're saying?
In the past, it was not great. Like it was in Reno. And so it was in like this really old, smoky...
Like a real super seedy?
Yes, exactly. It was like the old 70s hotel, with like the smoke everywhere. It was just like... Ugh. And this year, they moved it to Louisville, which the other problem is that, do you know how hard it is to get to Reno? And the retailers have to get to Reno. So it's not that easy. And there was actually, in New York, there's no direct flights last year. Like no one had direct flights. There was no direct flights to Reno. So it was just physically hard for retailers to get there. But now it's on the East Coast. And they said the secret was to go on the East Coast because there's so many retailers here and just mathematically there's more. And so a lot of them could just get there very easily and drive. And I've never been to Louisville, but it was nice. It was big. It was professional. It looked good. That was the most common thing that everyone was saying. It's like, oh my God, it's like a real convention now. Like it grew up because it actually looked like a real convention.
I've been to that convention center a couple times for Magic tournaments, and it's nice.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely not the seedy, smoky 70s Reno experience that you were referring to.
No, and there was good food. Everything was walking distance, and it was easy to get to. It's my favorite part. It only took me an hour. That was it.
Well, no GAMA for me, but Origins here in another couple months.
Yeah, we're gonna meet. We're gonna go to a baseball game. I don't know if you know this, Mark. I'm flying to Cleveland, and then we're gonna go to a game, and then I'm gonna be in the caravan. I'm gonna be in the Derik Melinda Knights of Last Call caravan.
What an honor, Stephen.
It is an honor. It is an honor.
Yes.
I call shotgun now.
I think I am driving Bob too, so there'll be me, Bob, and you in the car. I think.
Yeah. So
no, it should be a lot of fun. You know, we've got I think we have like 20 or 30 of our patrons who are going to be coming, so it'll be fun for us to meet up and meet everybody. So looking forward to that. Plus, you know, it's always fun to get to conventions, especially if I don't end up going to Gen Con this year.
Oh, that's right. You're so weird, man. You're like,
Yes,
if you can't get,
you can stop right there. I am very weird.
you are weird. He refuses to go to Gen. I got you a room, but because it was 2 blocks away, you refused to go to Gen Con.
Okay. No, it was more than 2 blocks away, and also
4 blocks away.
Also, look, for me. Here's the thing: it's a vacation. Okay, it's a vacation. I want a vacation. Again, other people are there to, I don't know, I guess.
I'm there on vacation too. The closest
hustle, grind, flow, work. That's
I
not what I'm there for.
I can get a mile away. That was the closest I can get.
And if Gen Con is so awesome for you that you're willing to, like, you know, have a hotel 35 or 40 minutes away and find parking and pay for the parking, or get an Uber every day, or take, you know, the shuttle from the non-existent public transportation that exists in Indianapolis, then, you know, that's awesome. I'm glad that that's good for you. But for me, that doesn't sound like an enjoyable experience. I don't even like commuting, you know, to work. The last thing I want to do is commute to my vacation.
Well, and Uber isn't the end of the world, especially if it's 5 minutes.
Yeah, but it's more like you got to get the Uber, then you got to get in the Uber.
I did it last year. It was so easy.
Listen, I have taken Ubers before and taxis many times. I'm just saying, you know, like, it's like when I go to Vegas. I have a hotel, and the casino is right there on the first floor. Boom. Beautiful.
Well, you can sleep in the convention center. No one would bat an eye.
That's the old school way of doing it, right? But anyways.
Just find a corner, sleep on the windowsill. And
well, the other thing about it is I have been to a lot of Gen Cons. And so, number one, I'm not saying that it's like nothing to me, but I'm just like, okay, I've been there. I've seen that. You know, like, it's not like this, like, incredible religious experience that, like, maybe it once was for me or for other people. And the second thing is, I also went to Gen Con when, in my humble opinion, it was better, just because there were less people, so it was less crowded, and it was easier to get into restaurants, it was easier to walk around, it was easier to get time with developers, it was easier to get demos in the hall. Now you're competing against 75,000 people, and that's just tough. You know, there's still only, you know, one Paizo booth. You know, there's still only one Eric Mona at the entire convention, and there used to be 30,000 people, and now there's 75,000 people. So it's just a numbers game.
Well,
anyways.
We are going to be running, I mean, assuming everything goes right, we're going to be running games, some Roll for Combat, Pathfinder, and 5e games at Gen Con this year.
At Gen Con? Who's running?
There is a company. And this guy, Matt, started this company. I'll probably have him on the show a couple of years ago. And they will run games for you. They take care of everything. And they do all of Free League's games. They do all of Free Leagues. They do hundreds and hundreds of games. They'll get you the GMs. They do everything. You basically, you pay them a small fee per game. You could do a 2-hour or 4-hour game. And you tell them how many games you want. And that's it. And they do the rest. And I was like, that is a great idea. And he's going to be at Origins, actually. He goes to Origins, he goes to Gen Con, goes to PAX Unplugged. He just started doing this a few years ago. And he runs. So if you're actually interested, it's called Lurking Fears. And if you're a GM,
I've heard of it.
Yeah, if you're a GM, you're looking to run games, they will give you a hotel room. They'll give you a badge.
Yeah. The sort of work for hire type.
No, they pay you. They pay you per game. No, you get paid per game. So you have to work a lot.
But again, not my idea of a vacation when I have to work.
Yeah, but a lot of people do. I know a lot of people who used to do that for the Paizo booth. And I think
but that's clearly part of their job at that point, right?
No. I'm talking about for the Paizo, the Paizo Society.
For organized play, you mean?
Play,
not for the booth?
Yeah, not for the booth.
I mean, I volunteered for organized play before I worked at Paizo as well.
Yeah. My friend, so for Seth, you had to run, out of 12 sessions, you had to run 10 sessions. 10 to get a free hotel room and free badge.
What's a session? 4 hours?
get this, he would have to be there by 7 a.m. and he usually wouldn't be done till 2 a.m. And he had to do that every day.
I'm glad. I'm sure he enjoyed his Gen Con experience, right?
Well, he kind of enjoyed it. And not only that, he didn't even know what he was running, because sometimes they'd have to just pick up a game and he'd have to do it on the fly. It was quite the baptism of fire. I was like, I'd run like 4 games, and I thought that was a lot. Yes. Yeah.
My rule of thumb is when I'm at a convention, I don't want to participate, play in, or run anything more than like 2 things a day. Because again, I want to, want to chill. I want to vibe.
Yeah. Well, anyhow, they're going to be running some games for us, and it'll probably be something with Indigo Isles and pirates and Eldamon and dragons and all that fun stuff. So
yeah,
so we're gonna.
It should be a wild year. It's gonna be. Everybody's gonna be, everyone's gonna be going for the throne, right? The king of the mountain, right?
It's going to be very weird this year.
Is D&D going to fall off? Dun, 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 right? Because my Gen Con, D&D will be released. Maybe?
No. It doesn't come out till September.
Oh, well, then there you go.
It won't even be out. If it even comes out in September, who the heck knows? Right. We'll talk about that, because that will be the topic later.
I don't know. I don't remember the exact quote, but, it's a much ado about nothing, right? But it's like full of sound of fury and signifying nothing. I'm sure Mark knows the quote, because it's just like it feels like there's been this massive process where they have upended every possible concept and released dozens of playtest documents, and yet every time I'm 10,000 feet away from all of that, but every time I talk to people who are in the know, they basically say, yeah, they're kind of not changing anything. It's really strange that they would just generate so much noise and potentially confusion and then not do anything with it. It just seems very, very silly.
Well, we'll talk about that, because it's to say it's causing confusion is the understatement of the world, because oof. So we got the Gaming Gang here. I am on the Gaming Gang's show every single night. If you don't know the Gaming Gang, you guys should check it out. I'm on his show every night. I watch him Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and he talks about the gaming news and then chats about life in Chicago. Talks about hot dogs, talks about gaming books, talks about credit card debt, all these crazy things, you name it. And every so often we talk about games. So so anyhow, we got Avenue Studios. That's the one that we played the dragons. That Mark was a waterbender, or were you? You were a waterbender.
Yeah, I was.
Waterbending dragon.
I was a lunar dragon. I had control of the tides.
Yes.
Gaming Gang said Peter Atkinson just been from him some cash to sing the praises of Gen Con. Did I ever tell you my Peter Atkinson story from back in the day? So it was fairly early on when Gen Con moved to Indy, and there was a problem with our VIG badge, and we couldn't get a hotel room, and so we were kind of this sucks. So I just call the number on Gen Con, and I don't want to say I socially engineered the people there, but I also didn't stop them from assuming that I was somebody more important than I said that I seemed to be. Long story short, I end up getting connected to Peter Atkinson's personal secretary, and I say, hey, is Pete there? I need to talk to him. And she went, oh no, I'm sorry, he's out to lunch right now. And I was like, well, that's no problem. She's like, well, I can connect you though. And I said, okay, please do. I don't have his personal cell. And then I ended up getting, and I felt so bad about it because I didn't think it was actually going to happen. And I ended up getting connected to Peter Atkinson while he was at lunch with some people, and to bitch about how I didn't get my
Dude, welcome to. That's how I get everything done. That's how I get half. Everyone's like, how do you do this? How do you do that? I'm like, I ask.
And so Peter, he was very magnanimous, and we had actually met before, but I mean, obviously he didn't remember me. And he was like, actually, I'm one of the people I'm at lunch with is my director of operations or whatever. Let me put you on the phone with her, and she can get your number.
Squeaky
and she
wheel.
did.
Got the wheel.
It did.
You know what? You had a lot better experience with that director of operations than when Gen Con lost my badge before I was working at Paizo. Because you went through Peter Atkinson.
Right, exactly. The big boss man was that.
We went down from the bottom up, and when Gen Con basically didn't send us the badge in the mail, and so we had brought all our receipts, and they were like, "Oh yeah, of course we should be able to get that for you. You have all your receipts. You obviously bought this." And the system's not working. That's weird. Let me get my supervisor. And that happened multiple times until eventually it led up to, I guess, the director of operations. It was the person who was in charge of that whole thing, and she was just like, "No, I'm not giving it to you. You're probably scamming us. You probably gave your other badge to another guest.
Yep.
And you're just trying to get 2 badges."
Yeah,
and I was like, what are the chances of that compared to like that I'm an honest customer who just wants to get their badge, because the actual expense of Gen Con is the flight and the hotels.
Right.
And what would even be the point of bilking you for that badge fee? And she's like, well, at least 50%. So we're not going to give it to you.
Okay, this is like
I was like, I'm volunteering for Paizo. I need my badge. I'm a major volunteer. I'm going to like, are you sure you want to do this? Like, because
what happened?
When I talk to people about this, I'm just going to tell them that you, and she's like, yes. I mean, we don't care. She first said they were on razor thin margins, so they couldn't afford to not lose it. And then later they're like, whatever, we're Gen Con. We don't need you anyway.
Yeah,
so.
Well, like I have again, I had a little bit of a rant about Gen Con, but let me tell you, their policy of basically if you lose your badge, shit out of luck. And that has always been their policy. And like, even to the point where if it gets lost in the mail, unless USPS like goes out and says, yes, we confirm that we lost your mail, which USPS never does, by the way, like ever. Like, so if for whatever reason your badge gets put in, I don't know, your neighbor's mailbox by mistake and they just throw it away because they go, screw that guy, then you're just shit out of luck. And they use that excuse. And it reminds me very much of like, like when people say we need to, kill welfare because people are scamming it. It's like, no, 99% of people are good faith actors who need, who just lost their badge. Yes, you're right. You're going to get scammed for 20 badges out of 70,000 or something. And it's so ridiculous that they have this customer service policy, as if, rightly you said, Mark, well, you're right. You know what? I had the $500 flight. I have the $700, $800, $900 worth of hotel fees. I have all the travel expenses, but it's the $100 badge that I'm trying to get for free from you. Stupid.
Well, anyhow, I haven't had no bad experiences.
That's what, yeah. See, all you know is sunshine and rainbows.
Well, until my trip from GAMA, it ended with, I'll give the real quick recap, and we'll do a little bigger recap. I went to GAMA, and then I went from GAMA to DC, and that was crazy. And then I went from DC to North Carolina to visit my daughter, and then I like after all that, and then I'm driving home. I'm driving to go, catch my flight home, and I'm 5 minutes from the airport, and then I hear bang, and I'm like, what is that? And then I got a flat tire in my rental car, and then I had to pull over, and I called, and I guess you called them, and the tire was so worn. The tire side blew out. There was nothing left. It was so thin. It was like paper. And I learned my lesson. Always check your tires before you rent a car, because I could have figured out in 2 seconds that tire was not going to last very long. I had to wait 5 hours for a tow truck to show up. And I couldn't even book another flight. I don't know how I did it, but I got lucky and I got a flight out. So it was all sunshine and roses until I was 5 minutes from the airport. And then
that is brutal.
And then I was just waiting in the car for 5 hours. I'm like, it's like, is someone going to show up? And it's like 11.
That's crazy
12.
that it took that long.
I was starting to get worried.
Yeah, I had a blowout near Detroit a couple of years ago, and I called some local towing company, and they came and got me within 20 minutes.
Well, they were very busy, apparently. Anyhow.
Yeah, I'm with Anon. I mean, that's like, especially for a rental company, that's like lawsuit level dangerous. Like, because the they kept you on the side of the highway for potentially.
No. I pulled off, and okay. I was in a neighborhood. But then the people are like driving by, like, can we help you? I'm like, I was like, yeah. Anyhow, so it's not always sunshine and roses. So 15 minutes. Has it been 15? Yeah, it's been 15 minutes. So quickly, let's get to news. We got all these little news. I'm like, is there anything news happening? I got so many news items. I don't even know where to start. Do you want sunshine and roses or doom and gloom? Derek, you choose.
You know me. Get the bad news over first.
Okay. We got bad news. D&D Adventures League moves to D&D Beyond. So
What does that mean?
if you want to do D&D Adventures League, which is basically their organized play,
Yeah, it's their OP. Yeah.
you have to open up a D&D Beyond account, and you have to move over there. And you are now part of D&D Beyond once and for all. Everything's going to D&D Beyond. This might seem like not that big of a story, but in reality, this is just showing them really moving everything onto this one platform. And you're going to see that more and more. Like, you know, they had Yawning Portal website, and they actually had their actual, believe it or not, a lot of it was being done on Discord. But now they said, and that's where their hub was, and all the documents were on Discord. It's been total mess, but now they're moving it all to D&D Beyond. So
now, to be clear, D&D Beyond is not the same thing as D&D, the inside or the subscription, right?
it's not a beta subscription version.
You
but
can make an account for free.
yeah, you can make an account for free.
Okay, so it's mostly just that they're forcing you to go through this digital platform.
Yes, and they're moving
I
everything.
find that to be a problem.
I find it to be a no. It's not a problem.
Well, I do, but that's because I hate digital.
Well, I don't find it to be a
That's fair.
problem, but I do see, like, this is interesting in the sense that they're going to make a hugely concerted effort that everything is going to have to go through D&D Beyond. Like, you will. It's like the old days of, like, you know, Adobe and Microsoft. Like, you know, remember when you used to have a Microsoft Word and you didn't need to have a Microsoft Online account? Or remember when you used to have Adobe and you didn't need to have an Adobe account? Like, you have to. If you use any of these products, you must have accounts. You pretty much need accounts to use these products now. This is the slippery slope of, oh, you want to play D&D? You know that thing with pen and paper? What's your D&D Beyond account? You know, it's like you're going to need an online account to use a pen and paper role-playing game. And I think that's not too far off.
I don't see why it's that big of a deal when it comes to an organized play campaign where there needs to be behind the scenes paperwork that's keeping track of your character that you can bring from place to place. Like, that already was going to have some online component, right? Like, every organized play program.
So, like,
so why not combine it with the other online?
If I show up at an adventure league with my character printed out on a piece of paper, they're gonna what? Turn me away?
They might.
I mean, I don't. That's not what I took from this piece of news.
No, not yet. You're completely right. Not yet.
Look, Pathfinder Society has had an online thing where you have a Paizo.com account and a number the entire time, but you still have paper chronicle sheets, and no one's going to go onto the website usually and look up your. In fact, it's hidden information, all of your statistics and things, but it keeps records for you.
Right. Well, it's like I mean, there must be exceptions to the rule because there's a Pathfinder Society that meets up in my FLGS, and they definitely have more than like 5 players. And somebody was telling me that Pathfinder Society is apparently not allowed to have more than 5 players or something in a game, or 6 or something.
No, they can have 6.
Oh.
Well, anyhow, I just thought it was interesting.
PFS.
I just thought it was interesting because it's the beginning of the end. The beginning of the end. Or
I think it's interesting too, but I don't see it as necessarily being the beginning of the end, because I feel like having an online component has always been there. I mean, not always. Obviously, there was the pre-internet organized plays where it was all in the paper and there was not an online component. But ever since, like, paper accounting of your stuff was not the only way things were kept track of, like, pretty much every series organized plays had something online. And having to have multiple different accounts is sometimes more inconvenient than one account. So, like, I see this as being neutral for now. Obviously, it could allow them to do something later on that is less neutral, but they haven't done it yet, at least.
So the other thing is more doom and gloom. Are you ready?
Sure.
Almost a fifth of money raised by Kickstarter projects are a scam.
What?
18% of all revenue,
Who says who?
according to Kickstarter themselves, their own internal data shows that fraud is rampant on Kickstarter. A new report is claiming
Wow.
nearly a fifth of the revenue raised on the crowdfunding giant going towards scams. According to a
Wait,
lengthy
seriously?
report on Fortune covered the the turbulent history. So that is depressing. Speaking of which, on April 1st, don't forget, check out 4 new dragon families, 4 new books, and hundreds of options. Check out Battlezoo Secret Dragons.
It's not a scam. We promise.
It is not a scam.
In fact, Steven, based on that statistic, I can guarantee that our books are in the top 80% of legitimate.
Now,
Kickstarter,
yeah.
like the bottom 20% are all scams, apparently.
So Anon, my sense on Anon is when they call it a scam, I think they mean that they have evidence or proof that there was never any intention to deliver the product at all.
Right.
Because you're right. Dude, I mean, if we're talking failed projects, who
It's
knows?
much higher than
much
that.
higher
Oh,
than
yeah,
that. Yeah. But that's a huge number if it's deliberate, obfuscation and deception and theft.
Yes.
And so what is if Kickstarter identifies that a Kickstarter was a scam, you get your money back?
No. Nope.
So it's caveat emptor the whole way.
Yes. In fact, I know the law well because I have to. But yes, as soon as once you sign up, there's this long thing. Basically, it says right there, it's like there is no guarantee that anything will happen, that you will never get the product. Like you basically, it's like you pay them and then anything happens. And you might get the product, you might not. You have no recourse, all that fun stuff. But that's an astonishingly high number. Now, the thing is,
Wait, you said 20% of them are scams.
18%,
right?
actually, yes.
18%. Okay, I see a thing on Kickstarter.com from a University of Pennsylvania study that found that only 9% failed to deliver rewards.
Well,
and only 8% of the dollars pledged went to those projects that did that.
Well, it says internally, using the own alleged internal data, estimating that up to 18% of revenue, not projects, of revenue is from fraudulent projects. So
but
that
this
might
said
be
8% went to projects that didn't deliver rewards. So that must mean that another 10% of dollars went to projects that did deliver rewards but were still a scam.
Could be.
What does that mean? Like
I
they
don't know.
delivered it, but it was like
there is a lengthy report,
and it didn't have the item.
Well,
in
you
there.
can get. Let's see. Here we go. The untold story of Kickstarter's crypto Hail Mary and the secret 100 million save its failing brand. So it looks like there could be a couple of these really big ones that just ended up at. And yeah, well, there's a whole thing on Fortune if you want to look it up. It's behind a paywall though, but.
I mean, this is on Kickstarter's own site, where it says
Oh,
that
yeah, I believe you.
8% went to projects that didn't deliver.
Well, here's the thing. I hear people all the time saying, "Oh, I got scammed. I never got anything." I have had Kickstarters that don't give me everything, but I've never been outright scammed. Like you get nothing ever. I mean, I just can't think. I'm just trying to think. I don't know. I mean, also at this point, I really rarely back things unless I know who they are, or if it is someone brand new, it's usually something kind of small. So, but you can trust us. I think it's our 6th or 7th we're doing next month, and. Oh, by the way, I'm going to put up an update because someone actually asked me. The World of Battlezoo books, which I have right here. Indigo Isles. It got held up in port because of a weight issue. I only found out about this like 2 weeks ago, which kind of sucks. But it's supposed to be in the warehouse by next week. So we're going to start shipping as soon as possible because it was supposed to be out by now. I apologize. I had no idea because it was during the Lunar New Year. But I'll do an update, everyone. But... yeah.
Man, remember the good old days when you would go to the store or Gen Con and then someone would be like, "Hey, I have this new book." And you'd be like, "Cool." And then you see the book and then you look through the book and it's finished and then you buy it with your money. That was awesome. I'm just saying.
Yeah, yes and no, except I have more fun. I disagree. I'll tell you what. My favorite part of most projects is the anticipation.
Oh no! See,
Oh, you'll be the minority for this one, Derek. People love the anticipation. I told you, my favorite quote, Oscar Wilde. Does Mark know it? I've probably said it 1,000 times by now.
Yeah. Two things in life: not getting what you want and getting what you want. No, for me, I love that. I like the thrill of discovery. You know?
I do too, but
like the last thing maybe it's what's the word? I want immediate gratification. Like if I see something I want, okay, give it to me. I want it. I want it now. Right? Like so.
Yeah. Well, but
like,
we do.
And
but
to your point,
yeah,
I used to go to Gen Con, right?
Yeah.
And all these new games
still
would be
a ton
out.
of new things at Gen Con.
Yeah, but you go to Gen Con a lot of times, and a lot of the places are just like, hey, we have a Kickstarter coming. You know, like it's they're more hyping you up and sort of more of a promo, which is great because you might get exposed to something that you don't know and you get a chance maybe to talk to the creator. But there's something very satisfying about coming home from Gen Con with a brand new game that you knew nothing about before you went there or to the bookstore.
You are right and wrong because the thing about Kickstarter is one of these books. Do you know how much Eldamon cost us to do?
Look,
a lot.
A lot of money. Okay, we're talking a lot of money. We're talking like Ferrari sports car money. Like it was a very expensive book. If there wasn't a Kickstarter, you can't spend that much money on a book because you don't know if it's going to be successful.
You have to believe in the heart.
No, you can't.
Of the pages.
Yeah, and right. So if you do that, you only have a few large companies, which is what we also used to have 10, 15 years ago, is that there was a lot less smaller companies, and the things they did publish were not that great because they couldn't afford art. So it was basically text pages and that's it, which is fine, but not what I wanted. And now, because of Kickstarter, you have companies like mine, and you have Goodman Games, and you have endless 2-3 person companies who can put out books with the same quality, if not better, than Paizo and WotC. So, and that's because of Kickstarter.
Right. But, and at the same time, while all that's happening, right, Kickstarter, who theoretically is adding no value to the transaction, is siphoning off your profit margins and or other people's wallet.
I mean, the value they're adding is a marketplace, right?
They actually have value because, like, I look and it'll show you how many people. Like, that's why we tried BackerKit because it shows you where they come from, and the scary part is something like 50% of our pledges come from Kickstarter. So much for siphoning. You're like siphoning. I'm like 50% of them came from Kickstarter.
Well, 50% come from Kickstarter, but it's hard to say how many of the ones that came from Kickstarter were still our people.
You're 100% right.
Let's say it's
10%. That's still a lot.
No. I have my suspicions based on the timing and the tendencies of some of those people who come from Kickstarter that a big chunk of them who come on the early days are actually our people who just clicked on Kickstarter first and then went to our page.
Yeah.
But even so, Kickstarter gets you exposure. BackerKit wasn't shabby either, but Kickstarter gets you exposure.
Yeah, it was good. Well, we're going to probably do both. Like for our really big ones, we're going to still probably do Kickstarter. I'll tell you that if you really want to get into the weeds, is that last time I did Kickstarter, Mark, you don't even know this because it's just happened. I had a real hard time getting approval because they have a very strict policy on how approval works for the Kickstarters, and they were kind of giving me a hard time. And this time, I submitted Secret Dragons, Mark, today at like 1 p.m. It was approved at like 1:01.
Well, I feel like they probably gotten a little nicer after, like, I don't know, Sanderson went to BackerKit and a lot of other people went to BackerKit. After they've been losing
about 20% of their revenue from other platforms, they're getting a lot nicer suddenly. So there's nothing like a good competition. What is the Sanderson up to?
Whatever he wants it to be,
dude.
Yes,
I didn't even back it, and Oh, the backer train actually finally stopped. They had this thing where they just never ended the backer train because it's like every time if someone backs within 10 minutes, the train keeps going. I was like, that train may never stop. They might go all 20 days.
Some of the ones that are weird time zones for the US are where it stopped, but it still has $18 million
for
the leather bound, possibly with the plushie upgrades. We won't know how much came from the plushies.
Crazy. That is so crazy.
Yeah, that is
even I'm like, and I'm a huge Anderson fan, and anyhow, that is
all right. So I don't even think that was that depressing either. It was certainly
all right.
shocking.
Well, I got a happy one.
Okay,
you want a happy
let's do
one?
a happy one. I feel good about this one.
Check out this link, baby. It's Derik's favorite. It's the new 10th anniversary edition of Cats of Cthulhu. Where you look at that, there's a cat.
Oh, Cats of Cthulhu has been played on the Knights of Last Call Patreon.
I'm sure it has.
So wait, what is the main reason that you would want to play Cats of Cthulhu instead of Call of Cthulhu?
It comes with some really nice stuff. Look at that like a dice, a little cat dice tray, little cat. What are those? The little not the tokens. I forgot what those are called. The boops. Yeah, they look like the little boops. They got. I don't know. It looks really nice. Actually, I'm gonna definitely back this.
I'm just saying though, like, what are the pros and cons? I've played a one shot of Call of Cthulhu, but I've never seen Cats of Cthulhu.
I think it's the same
thing. Obviously, they're going to be different.
I don't know.
Cats of Cthulhu looks like it is.
Other meeples. There, cat meeples.
It looks like it's 2014.
Yeah,
and Call of Cthulhu looks like it's 2016.
I think Cats of Cthulhu is more rules light and easier, and simpler, and more like.
Now I am a dog person, but look at this: 2 more cat ventures. If you $50,000 stretch goal, they have the cat dice, colorful kitties, meeples. Mew Pie Meeples. I mean, this is awesome. I love crap like this.
Oh, it looks like Call of Cthulhu may be a subset of the Cats of Cthulhu universe.
Oh, there you go.
I figured it out.
It comes with treats. It comes with the treat box. Man, this thing looks great. The art is good, too. Oh, my God. Look at that. A tentacle cat.
This is just so unnecessary.
You're going to be running it. You know that, right?
No.
Yes.
No,
yes.
No.
Yes,
I'll pass.
Oh, I'm gonna buy it for you. You always like discovering things. Here's a discovery: the Cats of.
You know what? We just looked at Daggerheart last night. I got enough stuff on my plate. It's fine. We're good.
Speaking of which, Daggerheart opens its public playtest, and yesterday. I was invited. I had no time to look at it. Nothing. What did you think?
You were invited to the slightly private one.
I wasn't invited to the private one. I had no time. No time.
I got
You could have sent it to me, Steven. Yeah. I kept saying
no. It said
No, you said you couldn't.
You can't.
Oh,
no. I wasn't. I would have. No. I couldn't.
So
I couldn't.
It wasn't Roll for Combat. Who was invited,
it was
only
for me.
you.
Yeah. Oh, I would have given it to you, Mark. Trust me, I would have.
Yeah. I was in that too, the closed where you had to sign the NDA.
Yeah, the NDA was nasty.
The NDA was insane.
It was nasty, Mark.
It was really.
I would have given it to you. Trust me. Nope.
But yeah, it was very binding. Like it directed you to this separate legal page, and it was very deep and detailed.
Nasty.
But anyways, I did all that, and then I never actually looked at any of the rules.
Yeah, I did the same thing. I was like,
but then yesterday they had the open beta, and we took a look at the rules live on our channel, and yeah, I mean, I'll tell you this, it's not D&D. So it is very. I would say it's much closer to Powered by the Apocalypse than D&D. So the idea that this is like a 5e, like going for the 5e throne, very strange to me. Like I don't think it is at all.
I think that people just generally, not just for role playing it, but for anything. If you look at the way that you can get clicks or views in media, and I'm talking mainstream TV or news media, if you make something a horse race or a competition between two things, that's what gets people excited in politics or like anything, right?
Sure.
So setting it, I feel like the people who were setting it up as like, will they dethrone the dragon is not the game designers of Daggerheart, who just like, we want to make a great fantasy RPG. It's definitely the onlookers who were like, read my article, watch my thing about this. Will this dethrone D&D?
I think it's even more, or I should say less selfish in a weird way than that. In my mind, I think this is just Matt Mercer going, I got all these millions of dollars of Critical Role money, and you know what? I just want a role-playing game. And if other people buy it, cool. But if they don't, that's fine too. I just want a game for me and mine. And like when you have that much, that's when you have that much Critical Role money, you can afford to do that. We were joking about how like they probably have people backstage that are like sitting there doing like 3D sculpting of all their custom minis that they're making while they're making them up during the gameplay.
You know what?
I'm just saying,
I think that's not mutually exclusive with just wanting to make a great fantasy role playing game, and neither of those is. Actually, I guess the way that you're putting it is the one that's more selfish in the sense that it is literally centered on only what you want to do personally.
What I'm trying to say is, when I say selfish, I mean like in my mind, I don't think they're not trying to make this for a market. I don't think they're trying to fill a need I think they are just creating the game that they want to create. And if other people want to buy it, they're fine with that. And if nobody buys it, I think they're okay with that too.
Yeah, they just want the best game for them, I think.
Well,
and that's great. If it's not even the game that you like and you design the game, how are you gonna like get other people to like it too?
By the way, do like and subscribe, and if you have any questions, super chat or ask questions, we'll answer them. And by the way, what you described is exactly what I did, because I got in touch with Mark. I was like, I got this idea for Eldamon, and then I literally hired him to do Eldamon. More or less. I mean, we've done other things like dragons and stuff since, and we've invented even Year of Monsters that came out of nowhere and stuff. But it all started from Eldamon, because I
came out of my ideas for stuff. But Eldamon was Steven's idea, and that's the reason he wanted me full time. Or one of the main reasons was that he knew that Eldamon was going to be a heavy lift, and he knew he wanted to do Eldamon. That's why he had the name Battlezoo trademarked like 20 years ago or some wild amount of time, because he's like, I want to do something like I want to do something like this someday. Yeah. And that's the name for it. So
it was actually over 30 years. It's about 30 years ago. I'll put it this way. I was still just getting into Magic. If you have an idea how long ago that was. So that's when I got Battlezoo. I was just starting to get it. I think it was 1994, 1995, around there. So almost 30 years ago. That's how long I've had the idea for Eldamon. So, but it took a while to have the means to do it. And now everyone benefits from my insanity.
Even Derik.
But Derik, you like it though. I can,
so far I really I do enjoy it. Got a lot of fun, interesting game mechanics and interesting player choices, and
it's not that
it's all, and it's really cute too.
Well, not to pat our own back, but it is the rare, incredibly wide and incredibly deep. It is both. It's like it is ridiculously wide, because you can play this game forever and always play new elements every time. And then it's incredibly deep because there's so much in the system. I was like,
the other goal was to make sure that the avatar, at least, was also very easy to play.
Right.
And like, assuming that somebody who has read it or knows it somewhat has built your character for you, or that you have read it and built your character, playing the avatar is meant to be simple. And the fact that the distributors who didn't even really play tabletop role-playing games were able to play the avatar more easily than their fighter pre-gen tells me that I did a good job with that.
He did a good job. Pat yourself on the back. There we go. He's doing it. Well, it's not very frequently you get to start a brand new Magic system. Speaking of Pathfinder, Seven Dooms for Sandpoint marks the 200th volume in the Pathfinder Adventure Paths. And this thing is massive. It's one 200-page adventure. It goes from level 4 to 12.
Yeah, which is so strange. That is very strange.
Well, not really.
I mean, I love it. Let me be clear.
They're doing all their adventure paths. Some started at level 5, some started level 7. They're just starting all over the place. And you know what? Yeah. Good. I actually think that's better. I think
I do too.
I think it's much better. I think a lot of people, especially players now, like if I'm playing Pathfinder and I'm a brand new player, fine. You might want to start with the first level of character. Most of the people playing these adventure paths have played many adventure paths. They could easily make a 4th, 5th, 6th level character and just start there. They don't need to start at first level. You really don't. It's not. I saw it in person at GAMA. It's impressive, and
it's like a 200-page mega.
Yeah,
right. Because it's like two volumes in one, and with a little bit of extra.
It's
padding,
like basically
right?
a 6-part adventure in one volume. That's what it is. And the best part is, I was sitting on the couch. I wish I videotaped it. I was thirsty. Hillman and Eric Mona and myself, and I was thumbing through the adventure, and inside the adventure is all these incredibly cute leshies and monsters, and it was just endlessly cute, and I was ripping on Eric the entire time because I think he hates cute more than you do, Derek.
Oh, well, you know what? Then that must be a very tough job for Mr. Mona to do that.
Look, I've told this story before about when leshies were added for Pathfinder 2e into the character guide. We were at a meeting that had like pretty much all the developers, a few editors, some pretty high up people, and then I was there on behalf of the design team. And having talked to the other designers, what I had to bring to the table was that leshies would be a good choice for an ancestry. So I brought that in on behalf of the design team, and basically what happened was the most senior people who were there did not like cute things, like Steven said, but pretty much everyone else did. There was one other person who was not super senior who was like, we should do Gripply instead. But to their credit, despite having the actual power at the company, right, all of the people who were the most senior were like, you know what, though? Like 15 people just said that they were really excited and wanted leshies. This clearly means something, even though it's not for me. It's going to be for a subset of the fan base, too. And that is the decision they made. It tells you something about Paizo being more collaborative and being something where people are willing to listen and not just go with their own preferences.
It's funny. It's funny. But
yeah, I've always liked Sandpoint. You know, obviously I like Rise of the Rune Lords. I like Return
they
of the
go
Rune
back
Lords.
to it. Yeah, that's the whole point. And it's written by
James Jacobs.
Yeah, who wrote Sandpoint and wrote the first one. So it's
James Jacobs is close to the GOAT in my approximation.
He's really good. He's really good.
Pretty much.
Yeah, it looks very good.
Also, I have a lot of respect for Eric Mona because I thought when he was the editor in chief of Dragon and Dungeon, I thought the magazine was at its best.
Oh, like, that was beyond the best. Yeah,
Paizo Run Dragon and Paizo Run Dungeon were just insane.
Yeah, no, I love.
Hey guys, I have something interesting that I just found a link to.
Mm-hmm.
It is a backer kit call to action page that just showed up. This appears to be a real call to action page, as far as I can tell. I guess I'll put it in the chat for everyone. But it says in 174 days, a Pathfinder bagger kit. It says it's by Paizo Inc. Coming this fall, join a campaign to create a thrilling new board game for your table. Follow this project to be the first to learn about an exciting new Pathfinder game created by the team at Paizo.
Interesting. Yeah, that's part of, maybe we'll talk about that or not, but that's a big part of what everyone's moving into is the board game / non-RPG space for various reasons. And even we might be going in that direction soon because there's a lot of reasons. Anyhow,
I have ideas.
Yes. So Seven Dooms for Sandpoint looks really cool. And you know what? 200 adventures. Like, they were really pretty proud. They were talking about it. Like, what's the chances of having 200 adventures releasing every month for, when they had 100, that was impressive. But 200? And they're still going. I mean,
it's a lot.
That is crazy. That was a lot of adventures, and I played every single one. Okay, I've not played.
No, yeah, I was about to say, there's no way. I don't think anyone has played them all.
I don't even think they have. Speaking, by the way, Mage Knight gets this. Actually, I saw this on the floor at GAMA. I was very excited. If you've never played Mage Knight, it's considered one of the best board games of all time. It's really cool. Like, you play like Merlin, like you play a really powerful mage, and you're wandering around a board, casting spells, killing things, building up your power. It's a very interesting board game. It sort of was ahead of its time. I mean, and they had an expansion in 2015, and I've not seen anything. Like, this game came and went. Like, this game is pretty old. And they're like, out of nowhere, they're like, yeah, it's been 10 years since we even printed this or talked about it. There's a new expansion, Apocalypse Dragon. Everything's dragon. And so it's a new dragon. I like the cover. The cover, I can send the link here. Here's the link. You can see what the cover looks like, but I saw it and I was actually pretty excited because this is the type of game you'd really like this. Because it, Derek, I think both of you would. It very effortlessly merges tactics, role-playing into a board game. And it does it very well. And it's not a legacy game that takes 20,000 hours. There's legacy-like elements to it because there's multiple scenarios, and you can play scenarios, and they're linked, but not really. Like, there's a story, but it's not like what you do in the first one affects your second one. And it's really good, and you can't find it. It's not easy to find online. You can't really find it, but I'm actually kind of excited. I think this is a good move for them because it opens up the game to a whole bunch of new people. So, and dragons. Who doesn't want dragons, man?
Dragons.
Everyone likes dragons. And then I'll give you another quick one. D&D 5e is available in Braille. How about that for the first time?
That's I can't
cool.
believe it took them that long.
Yeah, I'm surprised it wasn't available in Braille.
Well,
but I'm glad it is available now.
Well, I'm going to tell you a story.
Okay.
I forgot his name, but he actually was very well known. Is that I once sat down to play D&D, and this was 5th edition, and this is back when they were still a Gen Con. Remember that? This was they had a very small area, and the GM was blind, and I was kind of stunned. And what he did is he had a reader, and you would scan. It scans the words, and then he had his hand in a Braille, machine, and then he would scan it, and then would read it in Braille. And he ran this entire adventure for us completely blind, and I was amazed. I was like, wow. I mean, I was a little slow because he had to find stuff, but it was great. I mean, it was an experience I'll never forget. And seeing him run it, and being able to do the entire adventure. You talk about theater in the mind. I mean, that whole thing was theater of the mind. And he was really famous. He died a couple of years ago, and it turned out I forgot his name if anyone remembers it, but people really poured themselves out, and it turns out a lot of people played with him, and he was really popular and famous in the D&D community. And I was just lucky enough to even get to play with him. But I guess until now, that's what people do is they use these machines that read they read words and then just convert it to Braille. But this is actually converting D&D 5e SRD in Braille, and then you could just get it. So using Creative Commons license. So it's pretty interesting.
Yeah, cool. I have some news.
Oh, okay.
Far be it from me to keep us from talking about D&D.
We'll start next because now I'm out of things.
All right. Okay. Well, it's not really news, but last night, I should say earlier this morning, Archives of Nethys finally updated to remaster. So that's true. It's been about 5 months coming, but they got it done, and people can go back to playing Pathfinder 2 now.
There you go. So wait, they updated to remaster?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can go click to either see Legacy or Remaster.
That is,
So, like, but like the real the real challenge, I imagine, is like if I go into the search and I type in magic missile, it knows to bring me up with the force barrage.
Got it.
Spell.
Cool.
So like that's where like the real magic is.
Yeah.
Is like if you try to look up because you might have an old adventure or you might not know what something is. So if you look up flat-footed, it's going to bring up the off-guard condition.
So
that's
here's my
cool.
favorite comment maybe ever. Lab Sab said, Steven's stories make you realize how cool of a dad he must be. Let me tell you, my kids couldn't care less about any of this stuff.
I mean, you told me they didn't know who King Arthur was. Like, your entire family doesn't.
It gets better.
It shows you, like, the other things they didn't know. It's just like, yeah, that's reasonable. People might just not know this. They're not into that. But if the point where they don't know what King Arthur is, I realize just how far away they are from you on that.
No, it gets worse. I went to visit my daughter's college, and I'm sitting around all her friends, and some of them are like drama majors and like theater majors, and Spamalot, which was like a 10 out of 10, is closing, which I can't believe, but it's going on its national tour. And they said it's probably going to come to where they are. So they're like, oh, we'll see when we're here. And I was trying to like, what's Spamalot? And I said, have you heard of, Quest for the Holy Grail? I mean, Monty Python's.
Monty Python.
Right. Quest for the Holy Grail. They're like, no. You heard of Monty Python? No. Have you heard of King Arthur? No. Have you heard of Merlin? No. They didn't know anything. I'm just sitting there like, I was like, oh, God. It's like, I
think a lot of people wouldn't know about Monty Python. Just generationally, but it just like I just thought King Arthur and Merlin were something that like everybody has heard of. But it clearly is not the case.
Nothing.
I mean to be fair, if you asked me in like 1998, like, hey, do you know about some random comedy troupe from the 50s? I probably would have been like, no. I do not.
Yes,
it's completely reasonable not to know Monty Python. I would even be surprised if they did. Right? But to me, there's a difference between that and like literally not knowing who King Arthur or Merlin
but then we had Val on our show and Hannah, and they're like 26, and they're quoting Zardos to me. So
yeah, they know everything.
That's freaking cool.
People are different, Stephen.
Well, obviously. But anyhow, point is, anyways. I would be a cool dad, except for the fact that my kids are totally anti-geek in every way, shape, and form.
Meanwhile,
it's all wasted on them.
My buddy and co-host Aaron, he's kicked off a new D&D campaign with his wife and his daughter, who's 11 or 10, and his son, who's like 8 or 9.
I tried so hard. They want nothing to do with any of this.
And they're just like every weekend they're like,
their eyes glaze over. I start talking about. I'm like, I released the new. That's as far as I can get. It's like, this just came, and they're just like, I was like, okay,
Dad, I don't care. Just give me the money. Let me go.
Pretty worse. Like, Dad, is the car ready? Where's my car? And it's like they're terrible. I need a new iPhone. I'm like, oh God. It's like, do you want to watch Dune with me? No. Do you want to watch this? No. I was like, the other day, I was like, you want to watch Dumb and Dumber? You'll like it? No. I was like, oh God, okay. I told you I had to beg my son to see the D&D movie, and he loved it, by the way, afterwards. So, okay, main topic.
Okay. Let's do this.
This is it. I went to GAMA, and so for those who don't know, GAMA is a trade show. If you have any questions or comments, super chat and blah, blah, and, give us the votes and love us and like us and whatever. This is what I got. This is all the books, everything coming out at GAMA, and so I can even show you some stuff. We have, like, Game Trade magazine. Here's Modifius. This is their book, and this is everything that's coming out for the next couple of months. And this is what they hand out to retailers, so retailers know, and then they can buy. Here's stuff from Warhammer and Wargaming, and here's Evil Genius. Look what I got! I got Evil Geniuses. Oh, they were there.
Aren't they the ones that are
Yeah, that's why he's making that face. They're the ones that down to like many other people have left due to the serious issues.
And when I was talking to them, because a lot of them freelance for Paizo. Here's some Hit Point Press. Here's the Game Primal. Here's Flat River. Here's the Gaming Expo. Let's see what else I got here. Got on the table. So you get an idea of like, oh, this was big news. HeroScape. New HeroScape's coming out.
Since when? Who cares about HeroScape?
HeroScape was insanely popular.
Yeah, in like 2002.
Well, it's time for more HeroScape. Look at that. Look at those. Oh, that's so cool. I have a ton. Here's Renegade. Look at the size of Renegades. Is huge, by the way. Ooh, I heard a super chat.
Yeah, there was a super chat from Nathan Barling that said, "Thanks for the amazing book so far. I can't wait for my copy of Battlezoo Ancestries Classic Creatures. By the way, I sent you a copy of our book, Dr. Droland's Dictionary of Dinosaurs. Wanted to ask if it arrived okay."
Yes, I actually mentioned that on a show. You remember that? I mentioned that one when it arrived. Yeah,
I think so.
I did. Hold on. Ta-da! The Dictionary of Dinosaurs.
Ah, yes.
I did mention this.
The dinosaurs.
It's got all the dinosaurs. It's got them all. Plus, too many. Look at that. That is too many dinosaurs. That is a lot of dinosaurs.
All the dinosaurs you need in your role-playing game.
And
some that you won't need.
I know. This is like, you talk about like if you want to know about dinosaurs, I mean, I guess we do the same thing with dragons, but it's like they go deep. This is deep into the world of dinosaurs.
If my dad played tabletop role-playing games, he would want the dinosaurs and fossils.
Look at this. Your dad would love this book. It's got fossils. It's got... I mean, the art it's really nice.
I don't think he would actually, due to the fact that he's not into tabletop role-playing games,
the pictures.
But he buys all of our books only because I wrote them or worked on them, and that's about it for him.
Yeah, this is a 5e book.
Yeah, Nihilus, it does look like it is a 5e book.
It is a 5e book.
So you had a Modiphius catalog, and
yes.
you had a Free League catalog, but did you have a Wizards of the Coast catalog?
Let me think about that. No, in fact. That's the whole thing.
The episode topic.
That's the episode.
I know. I'm trying hard to steer this ship, Mark.
Thank you.
I gotta give him his $10 worth. Yeah, it is a great book. I mean, look at the size of this thing. It's huge.
No, it's a chonker. That's a great book. I mean,
it's awesome.
304 pages of dinosaurs and only dinosaurs.
That's pretty awesome.
Look, it's Big Al. Look at that Big Al. That's pretty cool, actually.
Wow. Is Big Al an Allosaurus? Yes, that's literally the name of my dad's Allosaurus skull is Big Al also. That is actually pretty wild.
Yeah, you say?
That it has the same name as his Allosaurus skull.
Dude, I don't know how you made money on this thing, because it has as much art as we have. This is insane, this book. This is
it's slightly longer than Eldamon.
Which is saying something.
Yeah, look at that. I mean, that's
awesome.
Really good art. Oh, look, it's like Eldamon. Look, they're dinosaurs. Look, they're at a picnic.
They're hanging out.
Look at that. It's so much fun.
Yeah, there's a maypole or something.
There's a maypole.
So,
you can be
Derek was saying, you didn't get a catalog from Wizards of the Coast.
So
that's an interesting fact.
So anyhow, the whole thing is that they had a booth there. Now, the whole point of going to this convention is that the retailers are there, and there's a lot of retailers. And if you show up, they give you even this like retailer package that has like $5,000 worth of games. Like, so every retailer gives like a free book or a free game. And then as long as you show up at GAMA and you're a member, which is like, I think, I don't know, it's like $200-300 a year, you get the care package, which is like everyone submitted something. And by the way, I was too late, so I didn't get my book in there, but everyone else got it. It was insane. So WotC had a booth there, and I was excited because I'm like, okay, they're going to have to start talking about what's happening with D&D. And they just announced all those dates. So I figured, okay, they announced the dates, and then what they're going to do is that they're going to actually then talk about these dates and have like discussions. They have presentations, either in private or public, and they'll talk about like what's going to be happening and when they're going to be coming, what's coming out and when and what promotions they're doing. And there was all this other stuff. I mean, they give you like all the stuff for your stores, and they'll say, these are the kits you get. This is the free stuff you get. This is the promotional. You get like things to hang on the wall. They'll get like, posters, everything. Like it's made for retailers. And I went to probably 10 discussions, most of them about role-playing, and the common overall theme that we kept hearing over and over again was, well, this is what we're coming out with 5e, but we have no idea what WotC's doing. And literally everyone in the room, and this is rooms packed, we're talking standing room only, they were turning people away at the door rooms, and people would just moan. They'd be like, ugh. Audibly, I heard this. I'm like, because everyone I spoke to was pissed. They were angry because they're trying to make plans. They're trying to figure out how much to order, how much they're going to sell, how much money they're going to make, what plans, what games they're going to run. And they had no presence there. They did, but they were talking about their clue set for Magic, which is already out. I was like, you're not even talking about the future. You're talking about the past. Like, no one cares. So there was nothing about D&D. No one knew anything. None of the retailers knew anything. None of the other publishers knew anything. And whenever it was brought up, everyone was angry. So what the hell is going on with WotC? Like, do they even care anymore? Like, this was their opportunity to tell everyone what they're doing. They didn't even need to go into detail. They could have literally just shown up and said, these are the release dates, and that's it.
But this is a broader thing, right? Which is, D&D was always, the GOAT, right? But then, as we got into the 2015, 2016 timeframe, it became it went, as you like to say, it went from being the most popular game in an industry that no one gave a shit about, right, to suddenly making enough money that people suddenly started caring about it, including its own parent company.
True.
But during that time period, what did we see? I saw them pull out of all of their conventions. I saw them step back from all of their like community outreach and community story. You know what I mean? Like, they have been detached from trying to be part of the ecosystem for a long time.
I think they know that they don't have to do some of these traditional tasks, which are expensive in time, resources, and particularly the people who know the information may be doing other important jobs that they're sending them over, and they figure correctly that they're there. So big that
But they had
people there, and they just still didn't. Oh, but they still didn't.
Nope. It was all about Magic. So here's the thing.
Oh, I see. They had people there for Magic, but they didn't have people there for D&D. Is what you're saying?
Pokemon. Talk about the world's biggest. Okay, you talk about someone who does not need to be at this place. Pokemon never needs to go to anything, and to be fair, they don't. They only go to 2 shows that I'm aware of. They go to Toy Fair, and they go to GAMA. And that's it. At least in the United States. In Europe and stuff, they go to others. But if they go to GAMA, it just shows you that's important, because they sell a lot of their Pokemon products and it wasn't just retailers. Like Target was there. Walmart's there. Like, the big box stores are there. So it's not just the mom and pops, because they sell to those stores too. No, they didn't bother. They don't bother. They don't have any. It was nothing. And not only that, not only was there nothing there was no plan, but that everyone was annoyed. Like, the retailers were visibly annoyed, and so were the publishers during these convention speeches and presentations, because no one knew what to. They couldn't plan. No one can plan, and it's like, okay, if we can't plan, we're going to ignore you. And I'm just wondering, like, what the heck do they really believe that they're just so big, they're too big to fail? Because they've been doing nothing but failing. Okay, I mean, they keep failing left and right and firing more and more people every day, and seem to be on a skeleton crew at this point. But like, It was so inexpensive.
Maybe they're trying to cut costs.
Come on. This is not where you cut costs. You don't cut costs. No.
I'm not saying it was a good idea to cut the costs here.
No, they're not cutting costs. No one knows what's going on. No, I don't think they know what's going on. And you have to commit when you go to these conventions. You have to commit. You basically, if you read these things, they say, when things are coming out. They actually have the dates in this HeroScape one. It's like 2004 Wave 1 releases, and then they have August. These are what's coming out in August. This is
Was there something like that for Magic at the WotC Magic booth?
Yes, but it was things they already released. It was actually
it didn't talk anything about new releases.
And if it was like something that's coming out in a month. It was things that are coming out next month. It wasn't this is not what we're coming out with Gen Con. It's not what we're coming out for Christmas. It was this is what's out now and what we're coming out with for a month from now. And that's it.
Yeah, it's tricky because at the same time, it's it's not like they really need to advertise. It's not like they need to get people excited. They already know that they have probably 70% of the retailer's book space anyways. So they know that, they know that, like I said, at my local Barnes and Noble, all the game books are up on the shelf, except for the D&D books. Those ones are fake books.
I know, they're behind the counter.
Because they're behind the counter, because those are the ones that get stolen, because those are the ones that people really want, apparently. Right. And so, like Mark was saying, why make, and also too, they're just going to get themselves in trouble, right? Because if they post and they make this big announcement about some date and then it doesn't, they miss the date or something doesn't come out that way, then it becomes mud on their face. And so it's easier for them to just say, you'll get it when you get it.
Also, giving the dates not as much in advance, so it was only the current and slightly new for the next month. That's not a new thing for WotC. They've been doing that for many years. They do not solicit with the usual soliciting window that pretty much any publisher knows you have to solicit to get things up for all of the distributors, for Amazon, for the retailers, and Wizards never does it until much later on than Paizo or other publishers do. And that's not just since this OGL thing. That's been the entire time I've been in the industry. Wizards solicits later. Well, because they know they don't have to have solicited on time. They know that the retailers are going to buy their thing. Now, maybe that's changing, and maybe they are going to find that their assumptions are not as right, Stephen, if you're right. But that's been the case for them to the point that they don't give as much lead time in when they announce.
Well, there's a part 2 to this, because I was asking everyone I could why this happened, and part 2 is I have answers. And we'll go through some of these answers, because people had some pretty interest, because these are people who have been retailers and in the industry for a long time, and they told me what they thought, and I was like, and I haven't heard this stuff before. But before that,
should we do the super chats?
Yes,
first?
Let's do the super chats.
So there's 2 super chats. Mr. Bandana Head wondered if they were going to make a cooperative Elden Ring card game. What tips that I would have? Well, first of all, obviously, if you don't have the license for Elden Ring, then just make it for yourself and your friends, and don't try to do anything rash with your Elden Ring cooperative game. And then secondly, I think you want to think about what aspects of Elden Ring you love and that you want to see in the game, like your high concept, your top principles, and then try to design mechanics that will reflect that and that will incentivize players to naturally do that thing. Don't just be like, well, of course they'll do the thing I want because they know what's right for the game. Make sure that even if they're just trying to win the game, that they'll be incentivized to do the right thing. That's my tip for you. And there's one other super chat, which was from Glade Riven, who said, did you guys see the poll D&D put out Monday asking what people thought about D&D and the direction of the brand? I did see that poll.
I did not see that poll.
You didn't? It started by being what do you think about D&D? And the options went from very positive to very, very negative. And you have to wonder what... they might be interested in looking at the people who picked the I hate Dungeons and Dragons, but also they might just be we don't need to pay attention to all the people who for some reason I've clicked this and just put that. There's lots of ways you can filter for questions like that. So it's definitely a very interesting survey. I did see it, but I figured we already had a million other topics, so I didn't bring it up.
So when I was talking to retailers, they had some pretty interesting concepts. The first thing is, one thing they said was the big issue with Hasbro, not WotC, is that Hasbro is they're not used to people talking back to them. Now think about that. That actually makes sense because they're like, this is a toy company that made toys for kids. So not only did they not worry about people talking back to them because they were kids that don't necessarily have access to like social media or computers or even mail, they have traditionally almost always worked in a vacuum, and the company in general. And in this world, this new chaotic, crazy world of social media and talking and communicating with customers, they're just not doing a good job. And they tried the bully tactic of like, well, we know what's best. And that failed miserably with the OGL scandal and other things last year. And the fact that they also have multiple brands now where they have kid brands like Transformers, which, let's just say, I'm talking about the kid brands, like the toys for kids, like 12 and younger, which, they still don't necessarily talk back. Then they're trying to do the collector's brands, like the collector's items. The problem with collector's items is that they're incredibly expensive. They have to be super high quality, and the fans will let you know in detail if you make any mistakes, which they're not used to. And then you have the whole WotC, think about it. Until the OGL scandal, I couldn't find a single person who can say a single bad thing about WotC or Hasbro, especially about D&D. It could not be found. People thought that they love us, we love them, we love their game. It was the biggest love fest I've ever seen in my life. And that OGL, I think is why it was so shocking, is that people were like just stunned. It was like a bad breakup with a girlfriend that you loved and you thought loved you but doesn't love you and never loved you. And
I think the problem is people thinking of the company as one entity, because whoever they were interacting with on the D&D team probably does love them, right? It's just that the executives don't. So it's more like you thought you were marrying your spouse who loves you, but actually their parents are very, very like get into the relationship and have a lot of leverage and power over it and are very tyrannical. And now there's a huge situation. It's kind of more like that.
So they're just bad right now with communication. And on top of that, they stopped going to conventions at the worst possible time, right when like fan communication was like at its highest. I mean, think about it. It's like, it used to be you would go to the conventions and that's where you got to meet and talk to people, and that was literally the one time a year that you might be able to talk to someone in the in the D&D community that was made the game.
My early Gen Con memories are like just replete with me having literal sidebars, not like after a seminar for a quick meet and greet. I'm talking about full out conversations with Rich Baker, John Tweet, Monty Cook, Sean K. Reynolds. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
That was awesome for me.
Yeah.
That was cool.
Now you can go on YouTube and find us whenever you want and talk to us all the time. And we're on Discord and everywhere, man. You can find not just us, all the design. Well, WotC, you can't find WotC because they're under lock and key. But you know what I mean? It's very easy to find creators now. And in all fields, that sort of mystique has gone away and disappeared. So
yeah, I mean, again, I don't want to get into the whole Derik, supports gatekeeping thing, but like, it was kind of cool because it's like, yes, it is cooler that everybody.
Well, guess what? It still is that way because you can't get in touch with anyone from WotC. So good.
Well, that's what I was gonna say. But like, at least back in the day, you could do it. But it was like, oh, so only if you went to Gen Con can you get to talk to the people. They can't even do that
now.
But now you can't even do that. So. Yeah.
But I think that's part of it, and they've had a rough couple of years, and they keep stepping in it. But this is like, this is as much of a safe space as there ever could be. Like, GAMA is the definition of a safe space. It's like everyone there is a retailer, everyone there is to learn and get cool stuff, and no one is there. Everyone's having a good time. It is a very, very friendly, retailer friendly, publisher friendly, affair. There's game demos at night, there's free food, there's free drinks, there's parties. Like, everyone's having a good time. And everyone's, they're there to spend money and buy stuff. So why would it's like, of all the places to go, this would be the one. This is the one where you go. And they didn't have to do much. They could have just shown up and just said, here's some pictures. That's it. And it's like, look, they could have just been, I keep saying this, why aren't they just freaking honest? Why don't they just show up and say, hey, retailers, look, these are the approximate dates. We believe we're going to hit them, but this is where we think. Here's some pictures. Here's some tchotchkes. Have some fun. We're having a party. That's it. They don't have to go crazy. And they can't even do that. They're just so scared. And then, and meanwhile, all I kept hearing was everyone angry. It's like, not showing up did not help. I'll leave it at that. It just did not help. Because knowing nothing, especially when you know a new game is coming out, was way worse. Because people, they have limited budgets. I kept hearing that from the retailers. It's like they would it's like
what are the retailers going to do? Not order the D&D products?
We saw some retailers in our chat saying they're not anymore.
I mean, good for you, but it just seems like that's business suicide to me.
Yes and no, but you know what? Magic is going through a huge problem right now, and people are stopping to order that because because they have limited amounts of money. And there's so many products coming out that you say that. You're like, oh, what are they going to not order D&D? Maybe. I mean, if it's between HeroScape and they get all this press, I didn't even bring it. It's upstairs. They gave me a retailer package of all this cool stuff to display in your store. Of course, I don't have a store, but they gave an entire retail package to display in your store to get excitement for HeroScape. And HeroScape ain't going to be cheap. Okay, these are $100 products plus. So if I only have a couple $1,000, and if I know for a fact that I got pre-orders for HeroScape, I might put that money towards HeroScape because D&D, but you know what? They can get D&D.
How many people are going to come into your store asking for HeroScape versus how many people are going to come into your store asking for D&D?
You're right, but maybe they order 5 D&D books instead of 20 D&D books.
So, Stephen, your thesis is that them not being there has made people angry. And look, I have not gone to GAMA. I will preface this.
Mm-hmm.
I've talked to many people who have, and over decades, gone to GAMA. And from what I've heard, most years, there's like a general attitude of discontentment towards like the big publishers, right? Like Wizards of the Coast, for whatever reason, for whatever the most recent thing is. I'm not saying that is justified. I'm also not saying it's unjustified on any particular year. I'm just saying it's not actually that different, whether they come in there or not. There's always something. There's like, well, D&D Beyond competes with selling at the retailer. There's a lot of different topics that come up, and since it's the one time to talk face to face and to express like discontent or that that there are challenges with what's going on, from what I've heard, that happens pretty much all the time anyway. So I'm not sure if this is different rather than a continuation of the norm.
Perhaps, but I'll put it this way. It's not helping. And this was, if they're trying to help themselves, this was a way they could have actually helped themselves. They could have shown up and maybe, as I said, just done a very small presentation. And think about how much goodwill. What I don't understand is that anything that can actually give them goodwill, they seem to be ignoring, and anything that seems to hurt them, they seem to be actively going out of the way to do.
Maybe it's a gigantic social experiment. Like they're just like, how far can we push this gaming community before they completely swore us off? I mean, again, because the thing is, You know, like we did a 3.5-hour stream yesterday about Daggerheart, and I thought it looked really cool. But I can tell you, it's not gonna kill 5e D&D.
Of course not.
and we played the MCDM RPG earlier this year, and we did a couple hours about that after we played it. And you know what? It was very cool. A lot of cool ideas there. It's not going to kill 5e D&D. You know what I mean? Like Tales of the Valiant, Advanced 5e or whatever, Advanced whatever it's called, Advanced Fantasy. Very cool games. Not going to kill 5e. It's just because there's just so many people out there, and I cannot stress this enough, who just don't fucking care. Like, they are just going to keep playing D&D because that's what all we've played.
Except
they don't even know who a Pinkerton is.
Wait. Okay. I agree with you on all that, except for one small thing. Back in the day, and I've talked about this before, Marvel thought it was a great idea to buy the distributor of all their comics. Because then they're like, wait, we can own everything. We can own the comics and the distribution, and we'll pay less money. And that ended up being such an absolute shit show that they ended up putting out they put all the comic shops out of business. Now, of course, Marvel is much bigger than, they're like half the market at the time, but they put out so many comic book stores out of business that Marvel literally went bankrupt. They declared bankruptcy because by killing the comic stores, they killed their distribution, which killed their sales, and they went bankrupt. So, yes, I completely agree. Don't go to GAMA. Don't go to Gen Con. Fine. Don't go to Origins. Fine. Don't go to any of these other shows. Fine. But you might want to go to GAMA because you might want to make the retailers, the people who are selling your stuff, happy. like that's the one place I thought they were going to actually show up, because those people you want to keep happy, because these people are the ones who sell your products, who talk about your products, who run demos of your products. There's all these demo nights, like how to do demos in your stores. There was a lot of that. Like, this entire event is designed for retailers to show off products, and there was nothing there. And you keep saying it's like, well, maybe they don't care. You're right, they probably don't. But you know what? You can't keep doing this forever. You can't kill off. You start pissing off enough retailers, and you start pissing off some of the mid-box and big-box stores, it's going to start hurting you. And they can't rely on only Amazon forever. You really can't. Okay, Amazon is big. I think it's like 1 in 6 things bought in America is bought on Amazon, which is kind of insane. But you can't, if you kill the hobby stores and you kill the retailers and they don't hold your books, or better yet, fine, say they do order your books, but the retailers say, oh, you want to play a role-playing game? Don't play D&D, play Pathfinder. Because Pathfinder was there, and Paizo was there, and they did tons of fun stuff for everyone. And they gave out tons of things to the retailers. And let me tell you, there are a lot of people saying good things about Pathfinder, and whenever Pathfinder products came up, they loved it. So I'm just saying it's the wrong market to mess with. At least that's my opinion. So
it's a useful data point anyway, right? Because usually when you have a situation where you have people from different points in a chain who usually don't get to communicate except for rarely, that is where you'll see friction. So if you're seeing positive vibes this year in general, but negative only mostly towards the decisions with D&D to not keep them informed, then that does mean something different than just like generally having it be a place to give constructive criticism.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I mean, someone actually said here, it's like people are going to buy it on D&D Beyond anyhow, and books are going to die. You could be right. I mean, it's no mistake. Everyone is so funny. Remember when we used to say this a year and a half ago, and everyone said I was insane that they were going all online, and now everyone's like, oh yeah, of course they're all going online.
And by the way, that was said by Voy Nupla, not Voin Upla. I got you. They corrected me on my mispronunciation of their name.
Oh, okay. There you go. They're saying, people are saying, oh, the WotC's saving costs on printing, shipping, and selling books. Not really. They're still printing books. Okay, they're still making books. They're still going to print over 1 million of these books. Okay, that's the thing. It's like, yes, they probably want to get long-term people onto D&D Beyond, and in fact, you can almost say the books are the gateway. It's like you want to get out your book to as many people as possible and make it as easy as possible for people to get into the system. And then you say, oh, you want to keep playing? Well, get your free online copy here in D&D Beyond, or get this at D&D Beyond. Get something at D&D Beyond. So then you move them onto that platform. So I don't know. I just found it very odd that not only were they not at retail, but is there any excitement about the new version of D&D? Like anything?
Well, no. So that again, this is where I'm very removed from the community. So I am not a great bellwether for this, but it does seem like nobody knows what's going on, and as a result, people are unsure. I think that there's a lot of people who want 5e to be something that it's not, and I don't think it's ever going to be. So I think they're going to be eternally disappointed. And then there's a lot of people who want 5e to be this quote unquote better game, but nobody seems to be able to agree on what that means and how to accomplish that without pissing everybody else off. It's like everybody wants everything to change so that it's better, but then nothing changed that they like.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense.
And you can't do that, right?
Yeah.
And so, and if I think Wizards of the Coast, by and large, has been defined by their fear for the entirety of the 5e product line. And again, I'm saying this as an outsider, where the joke, right? Well, like if you go back to like the 1980s, right? The joke is that like Square Enix was going out of business basically, and they said, Square, and they said, okay, well, we have like money to make one last game, and they made Final Fantasy, and that's why they called it Final Fantasy, right? And it turned out to be this massive success, which launched the entire company. And I remember the D&D of the 4E era with a massive development team and a huge production schedule. And then suddenly it was kind of like, well, that all didn't happen the way we wanted to when we downsized, and D&D is a fraction of what it used to be. And this is sort of like our legacy edition of the game that we will put it off soft gently into the night, right? A burning, blazing funeral pyre to light the game on its way to Valhalla. And it was kind of like almost like a sending it off, and here's like our greatest hits, sort of a love letter back to the old school kind of meets new school way, the art, the style, the writing. And everyone kind of just thought it was going to, I think, be nothing. But certainly the people at Wizards of the Coast thought, I think, it was going to be nothing. And then somehow it became the massive success. And at no point did anyone ever understand why, or what it was that they were doing that was somehow contributing to this massive success. And I think they realized that they had very little to do with that massive success. And now people could say Stranger Things, people could say Critical Role. I don't know if it was all of that combined or there was some other sort of zeitgeist that was going around. But long story short, Wizards of the Coast, I think, was always just very like, it's like when you have like the really, really hot girlfriend and you don't know why she's with you, but you just don't want to fuck it up. Right. And so you're just like, okay, I'm just going to I guess I'm just going to kind of keep my mouth shut and just try. But I don't actually know what I'm doing that is going to make me, successful or not. And so they didn't want to disrupt anything. And it's part of the reason I'm shocked that they are doing all this. But like what's happening as they've gone through this process is for the first time, they're sort of showing that they have no idea why their game was successful. And they're like, if you look at the Unearthed Arcana, again, I'm not a professional game designer, but I would best describe it as throwing shit at a wall and seeing what sticks. And sort of, the game design by committee and internet poll, which feels like a very bad way to design anything.
Yeah, I mean, it's a combination, Critical Role, Stranger Things, pandemic.
I mean, you have to at least listen to internet polls that are vastly in one favor.
Yeah.
Period. Because you don't have to.
I mean,
but
yeah,
I think that
I still think that's a loaded
yeah,
assumption.
you don't have to, and there are definitely people who don't. And to be even fair, I think that even the Pathfinder 2 community today believes that if they could go back in time and not have given some of the answers on the poll that they gave and trusted the designers on a few things, that maybe we would even have a Pathfinder 2 that was more to their liking than what happened based on the polls, because the gameplay is borne out the designers' ideas. However, there's also a lot of other things that's not true for. And I think that you should accept any overwhelming feedback, because to not do that is kind of hubris of being sure that you know best and that all the people don't, even though sometimes you did know best. Sometimes you did, but often you didn't. That's my opinion. If it's close, even if the internet poll is like 60% for the thing that you have a lot of reason to think is bad, then sure, do go side with the 40%. But like if it's 80, 90% in the one that you think is not the right thing and you have a lot of people on it, I think it's not a good idea to avoid it.
So
we have a super chat.
Yeah, how many 5e books does Roll for Combat sell compared to Pathfinder? Actually, people ask this all the time. Well, because we're so heavy in the Pathfinder space, we get a little bit more, but it's almost 50-50. It's not quite. It's probably like 55-45. We do sell more Pathfinder than 5e, but it's not like 90-10. You know, it's depends on the books. Like Dragons is pretty even. Actually, most of them are pretty even. Now I think about it. The fact that
it's so close to even just shows also that we have like an especially significant place in the Pathfinder 2 community, because the 5e community is gigantic.
True.
And the Pathfinder 2 community is smaller. So the fact that it's even like close is because people know that Roll for Combat and Battlezoo are bringing some of the highest production values in a like non-first party Paizo product for PF2. Whereas in 5e, there's just tons of great publishers that are out there, and we're just one of them.
Yeah, it's the 5e space is hard to say the least. But I was going to say one more thing. I can't remember. I got off my track of my train
was
of
it
thought.
about the thing I was saying with the to Derik about if 80 to 90% of your people are all saying something, you shouldn't just go against it because you're convinced?
No, it was about what Derik said, is that, yeah, people forget that D&D wasn't even on life support. It was on like
hospice.
It was on hospice care. It really was. I mean, it's like they had this incredibly small central team that was maybe a dozen people, if that. And
it was basically
outsourced.
It was like Chris Perkins and Mike Merles.
It was no one. No one was working on that product, and they outsourced everything. You know, all the adventures were outsourced to Kobold and other people. Like, they weren't even doing their own stuff. And only in the last couple of years, like then they started to wake up, and they're like, "Wow, we kind of have a hit on our hands." And then now they hired a ton of people. But here's the problem. If you look at the if you look at the Hasbro earnings, they are losing money hand over fist. See, this is why I can't believe it.
How?
What do you mean how? Who? Hasbro?
How can you be selling all these, how can you have all these people playing? How can you be selling all these books? How can you have all these D&D Beyond
I'm not at Hasbro.
I know, but like, how does the D&D component not just making a ton of money?
No, D&D makes at most. Actually, there was a talk they went through this. Oh wait, I have the slide. Actually, they figured it out. If
D&D can't make money, then what the hell are the rest of all of you doing?
Well, that's why. I'll tell you, that's why we have two people, a two-person company. No, seriously. I mean, you can't.
All right, fine. Let's take it another way. Yeah. If the two of you can produce, 17 books a year, then 17, how come an entire
36, my friend, last year?
Okay, then how come Wizards of the Coast can't?
Because we're insane. I don't know.
Yeah, we have a ridiculously high output. A lot of companies also have enough stakeholders in any given product that you need to have a lot of lines of communication, and those are lines of communication cause a product's time for like meetings and communication to grow quadratically with the number of stakeholders that you have to communicate. Like if you only have 2 people and they're both in charge of like an entire aspect and not the other, it's a single line of communication. But if you have like 10 major stakeholders, then that is essentially, I think, 45 lines of communication, even just 2-way, and some things will need to be 3 or 4-way. And so like it gets to take a very large overhead at that point. And so that's at least a part of it in terms of getting out books when you are larger, is that it's harder to turn. You're less nimble and agile when you're bigger, and you wind up needing a lot of different roles that you could potentially have 2 very outrageously productive people who probably should not be working as long as we do. Just
all right. I mean,
it's like in the Futurama episode with where Hermes reorganized the forced labor camp that kidnapped him, so that there's the one guy was doing all of the tasks.
I don't remember that.
I don't remember that one either.
It's a bureaucrat one. Remember the bureaucrat?
Oh, it's a bureaucrat.
Song?
Oh, yeah. The bureaucrat. Yes. So I have numbers. I have numbers. I have actual numbers. This is from ICV2. If you look up their website, their business website based on
it is self-reported data, though.
It is, well, yes, but they're considered it's not self-reported. They actually do. It's
self-reported by the
retailers.
stores.
The retailers.
So ICV2 is the best that we have
without
having inside sources, but it still significantly comes with like 5 asterisks and caveats.
I'm giving a lot of caveats on this, but
Don't salt in it, but it is the best that we have.
It is the best that we have.
Like inside scoops.
Yes, and this is just United States and Canada. Role-playing games market in 2018. What do you think is how much money the RPG market made total in 2018?
You mean gross sales?
Gross sales, yes.
Is that also including board games? Because I know
Nope.
ICV2
Just
sometimes considers
role-playing.
tabletop to include board games.
No.
100 million.
It's only role-playing games.
It's only role-playing
games.
games.
He has it divided up into everything, by the way. So
2018, 100 million.
What do you think, Mark?
For 2018?
Yes.
Gosh, that's 6 years ago. That's before a whole bunch of stuff happened. Yeah, I'd say somewhere around there. Well, I'll just I'll take the high on that though. I'll say it's a little higher.
65 million.
Oh, really?
Wow.
It grew a lot since 2018.
Yes,
I know that the value went up.
Right. I was picking a value lower than what I know it is now, and I was like, okay.
2019 was 80. 2020 was 105 million. 2021 145 million. I wonder what happened then.
Yeah. I saw the 145 and beyond, and then I was trying to downgrade it too, but I still thought it wouldn't have downgraded that much.
2022 is 180 million, and 2023 was 200 million. So 200 million.
Yeah, I remember the 200 million,
right,
which is why I was like, it's probably like a little over half. So I'll take the higher on.
But just shows you how much it's grown.
But
that's like the whole market.
It's over tripled.
Yeah, it's done extremely. That's the thing. That's why people
in
like.
6 years.
It's like, isn't it doing amazing? And from a percentage point, you're like, yes. It's tripled in size. It went from 65 million to 200 million. Like,
okay. But there's but here's the thing I don't get. Right? There's a margin of scale there. Right? Like D&D didn't have to increase their cost. None of these retailers had to increase their costs 4x, did they?
The retailers don't, but D&D did. They increased it 20x probably, and they've been hiring a lot. I mean, a lot of people. I mean, and think about, and not only that, they spent 142 million on D&D Beyond. I mean,
so like the Lorraine Williams and Gary Gygax led TSR of the 80s and the 90s, they're just shitty at business then. I don't know. I mean, like,
you are 100% right. They are. But I can't believe in this day and age, how is this possible that they are? How is it that D&D is this going to be like the story of D&D, the product that continuously fails forward forever?
Turns out D&D was powered by the apocalypse the whole time.
But it's incredible. It's like every book about the history of D&D is about it failing forward.
Yeah, basically, or
it's just
succeeding,
amazing.
Succeeding despite itself.
Yes.
Like despite
It's
the best
amazing.
efforts of horrible mismanagement. I mean, when you read some of the shit that was happening in the 90s,
it is
like
like
with them selling the product before they actually, like that whole thing with the
or
shipping,
them selling the movie rights to a 19-year-old kid who walks in the door.
Some of those ancient things, in terms of mismanagement, make some of the management things that we're talking about here look like they're fine.
I think we broke Derik there.
Yeah. And I think it's a testament. It's a testament to how much people, I mean, quite frankly, that you, humble viewer, are being taken advantage of, in a sense that they know that this game, that this hobby, but in particular this game, has its claws sunk in so deeply, and they can just make bad decision after bad decision after bad decision, but they know that the fans are going to pull them out, and they have time and time and time and time again.
I know.
So
yeah.
Well, the other issue, so I talked to a few more people, and one person who will name nameless said to me, they get it exactly what they're doing, and they see that they're doing this 5-year plan. But the problem with WotC is they always have a 5-year plan, and they never stick to it for more than 1 or 2 years.
Right.
Is it because there's musical chairs at the top, and then the new people have their own?
And everybody wants, they all want to create their impact, right? The last thing you want to do is take over for your predecessor and just say, what's the plan? I'm just going to keep doing what the other guy was doing.
No, the first thing you do, like, that's even why Dragonlance, remember the Dragonlance, like, I've been watching more about that in like the history of what happened with the TV show. It was supposed to go forward, and they had some really strong producers on that. It wasn't just like, oh, I had this really good script. No, they had a full team, but then it got sold, and they're like, yeah, we're not doing it. Because that's the first thing, whenever a company, especially an entertainment company, gets sold, first thing that happens is they go through every single project and decide which ones to kill. And they kill most of them, if not all of them, because now they want to have their projects. They don't want to take over someone else's project, and that's exactly what happened. Because one entertainment was sold, and then bye project, and they left, and it's gone. And Dragonlance is not going forward anymore. So, and that's the thing. It's like, how long when the upper management changes once again? What will happen to D&D? Who the heck knows? But the thing is, they're doing these software plans that take years, years and years and years to fulfill. This isn't like, oh, we just make, or they're talking about, oh, we're going to get more into video games. Baldur's Gate 3 took 7 years to make. Okay, it's like you can't just make a game. Okay,
how long have they been working on the new Grand Theft Auto that's coming out? Like a decade.
10 years. And by the way, it's done pretty much. It's actually mostly done. How about that?
And they will make their money.
Oh, that is the most profitable. They made more money in a single day in history than any other media ever of all time. It made something like when the day came out, it made like $2 billion, something insane. It made more money in one day than any other thing ever. And when Grand Theft Auto 6 comes out, probably like $3-4 billion on the very first day. It's going to make it. What?
It's a good day. If I worked for, was it Neat Games? Is that who? No, Rockstar.
Rockstar.
I would definitely, go for hibachi for lunch.
Oh, dude, they were in Manhattan. I used to hang out with those guys. They were in the Village. They were nice. They're really nice, actually.
Would you say They're like rock stars.
They were awesome. They were. This is before they were big. It was like Grand Theft Auto 3 days. They were nice. They were a fun group of guys to
I think
work
that
with.
was the last one that I played was GTA.
Grand
3.
Theft Auto 5 is, as someone who's okay. I promise we're not going to go into this because I can get very deep into this topic very quickly. But I've said this before. There's like, if you're a video game designer or producer, and my friends are, and I was in, and like you'll see some games and you realize the level of detail. Like, for example, the God of War games, ridiculous level of detail. But little things like, so Rockstar in Red Dead Redemption 2, they actually have it that you can sit down, then the characters will have a meal, and they actually eat the meal. Like, the meal actually gets smaller, and they eat it and chew, and it disappears. No one does that level of, like, that is like,
see, and now
insane, the level of detail.
And now I understand why video games aren't for me anymore, because I'm like, who cares?
I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why that happened. I'll give you the answer. Because they have 200 teams going simultaneously, and what happens is one team finishes their work like a year before anyone else, and they want to keep their jobs, so they're like, okay, I need to do something, let's animate the horse testicles so they change in shape depending on the temperature, which is what really happens in the game, because I need to do something. I got it. It's called keep busy-em. You just got to keep busy.
I'll buy that.
No, it's true. That's what happens, because the teams are all separate, and they sometimes, like, and everyone, you're only as fast as your slowest team, and a lot of these teams get finished. But anyhow, Grand Theft Auto 6, oh my God. I looked at that. It's painful. It is actually painful. But that game probably cost about $1 billion. And like, no doubt, I'm sure it cost about $1 billion, and they'll make every penny back in the first 5 minutes, so it doesn't matter. Anyhow,
just like the new edition of D&D.
Just like D&D, but that's the thing. It's like D&D. They need D&D to become a $1 billion brand, and if you're not talking to your retailers, if you're not talking to the fans, if you're not doing anything, they sent out those promotional kits. I don't know if you saw that. The YouTubers got ice buckets. That was interesting, because that's what I want, is my D&D 50th anniversary ice bucket.
That is not the direction I would have gone when I was thinking promo merch swag for 50th anniversary. I'll be honest with you.
I'll tell you, people like the ice bucket. I will say people said they were very impressed with the ice bucket.
I will say that I was expecting, like, I don't know, 50th anniversary D&D. I was just expecting more. I don't know. Like, it's cool that we're getting that big historical whatever.
No, it's a golden ice bucket.
Yeah, but like
it would be. That's where I hold my dog toys. By the way, that's what I would have done.
I think the historical book could be really cool.
Oh, the historical book is going to be very.
I'm
very
excited
cool.
about it.
I will definitely.
They seem to have people on it who know what they're doing in terms of, like,
right, but it's also kind of like
and academic stuff.
Right, I mean, but it's also a little bit nostalgia bait, and when it's kind of like, hey, that's cool, like you made a cool history book, but like maybe you could just.
Oh, so the ice bucket. So it was part of a larger set. You got like 4 tumblers, and you got 4 D&D tumblers. You got 4 what are they called? Not mouse pads. These little the coasters. You got 4 little coasters, and then you got an ice bucket. So they were going with some theme there. And then they got 3D printed glasses.
The theme is our game sucks. Drink.
But what is it? Right? What does an ice bucket have to do with D&D? It was right D&D cocktail set. That's exactly what it was. I didn't get one, but I was like,
"Ooh, what a massive slap in the face!"
Oh. I get a lot of stuff. Who sends me all their stuff from now on? Who sends me everything?
Being heaped upon your names.
Wait. Guess who I got? Now I'm on their list, and I'm gonna start talking about their stuff. Free League, baby! Look what I got! Woo! Got all that in the mail.
Yeah, Basin.
I get all their stuff now, man.
Well, Dragonbane is quickly becoming the game of choice amongst the Knights of Last Call Patreon.
Wait, I got news. At GAMA, okay, we'll change shift. Now we're going to talk about stuff. At GAMA, I got to play with the guys who are running the Roll for Combat games at Gen Con, because I'm going to test them out. They were great, by the way. So I got to play, and I was texting Mr. Derik while I was playing live, because Derik and I are besties. We are. We're turning into besties.
We're turning into besties.
We are turning. I was texting him, and sure enough, I was playing some Vassin, and I was playing the duck character.
No, you were playing Dragonbane.
Sorry, Dragonbane. Sorry, I was playing Dragonbane, and I was playing the duck character.
And what's funny about Dragonbane is you want to roll low.
Oh my God! I have learned something that I hate roll under systems, because I was getting destroyed. So Mark never believed in luck before until he met me. Mark, do I have the craziest luck you've ever met?
You definitely have run into some pretty wild coincidences, Steven.
I roll really well, and people don't believe it. Derik, did you see me roll well in front of you at Origins?
You sure did.
You sure did.
You sure did. You sure did it.
Many times in many games.
Many double sixes, but it struck it. But again, in Dragonbane, a nat 1 is called a dragon, which is great, and a nat 20 is called a demon, which is bad.
Right.
And you were not getting a lot of dragons.
A 17, a 17, a 17, and we're in combat. A 20. And I'm like, what is going on? Like, this system sucks.
And now my point is,
I was
hopefully
getting killed.
And then I pointed out, I was like, you could push your roll.
I did. They were impressed.
And you were
I did. I pushed my roll. They're like, ooh. And I did say, I got help from someone else who told me to do that. I was like, you got to push your roll. I did. They were very impressed. And then I pushed it, and I took like whatever the mental one, because who cares?
Angry.
I got angry. And then I rolled a 6, and I finally hit. And I was like, damn it. I do not.
And see, real life melded with the narrative of the game. You were angry, and your duck became angry, and thus
an angry duck.
It did.
Angry.
But seriously, it was. I could see it's a very European system, because roll under.
Call of Cthulhu's roll under.
Yes, but that's well, I'll tell you.
A lot of D100s are roll under as well. D100s that are roll under are more intuitive usually than D100s that are roll over, because it'd be like, okay, you have an 80%.
But the problem with roll under is that there's a floor. There's a floor, but with roll up, there's no ceiling. You go forever.
Correct. Well, that's the thing that Dragonbane is important to note. Dragonbane by Free League is like the 13th version of Dragonbane. And it used to be owned by a different company. Free League acquired it.
Yes.
And it was a Swedish RPG and called Draken und Demoner or something like that. Anyways, it used to be a D100 roll under system. And so at some point during the legacy of the game, it just basically they basically just divided it by 5 and became a D20 roll under system, just because, people are more kind of comfortable with the D20.
So I did find out, I actually knew this, I forgot this, but they said the reason why ducks are so prevalent in European games is because back in the day, Americans gravitated towards Mickey Mouse, but Europeans gravitated towards Daffy Duck. And they were much more interested in Daffy Duck. So there's a lot of...
Not Donald?
Sorry, Donald Duck. I meant Donald Duck. Sorry. I don't know why I was saying Daffy. Donald Duck. Everyone was very...
Daffy Duck is a cartoon character.
It is another duck. But Donald Duck, and they love Donald Duck. And that's why there's actually a lot of duck-themed adventures and role-playing games. I was like, oh my God, you're right. I forgot. I actually knew that from something else. But because I worked with Disney, and I remember that. But anyhow, there's a lot of ducks in their role-playing games. And I was like, oh, I kind of see that now. Anyhow, I played that, but then we played the Walking Dead role-playing game. Woo!
And that is a year 0 game?
That is, yeah. That was brutal.
Or is that Modifius?
But I will tell you, so you only got 3 hit points and then you die. And it's very easy to get hit for 3 hit points in this game. And we killed some walkers, but then we got hit by some walkers, and we had to rescue someone, and then we made too much noise, and then so we were trying to rescue someone to go into the compound. We took out the guards, but then one of the guards started to fire the shotgun at us, and suddenly we were swarmed with walkers. And then I did what anyone with 48 years of role-playing experience did. And everyone was like, I fight the walker, I fight the water. What do you do, Steve? I run away. Because I'm like, I only got to be faster than you. And I ran.
Who runs away in a one-shot?
I ran away, got
Who
into
runs
the car.
away?
I had to hotwire it, and my hotwire was like a 2. I managed to hotwire the damn car, drove out of there. Everyone died, even the compound, even the NPCs. Everyone died.
You know, it occurs to me that, you know what, they say that role-playing games aren't competitive, but I realize that Steven plays to win. That is even in a co-op game like that. Like, it's a one shot. You know, you go out.
I won the one shot. I did. I played D&D and I won.
Yes, and it was advanced.
Yes. That's why Steven just wants to be Pierce someday.
Right. Yes, I could
Pierce.
see it. What do you want to do? So many things, Abed. So many things. Do you know the ancient pool at the base of the waterfall? Yes. Anyways, I run. Well, thanks to the cloak of the winds, he runs so fast he gets away.
So,
anyways, the Dave goes, I wait 15. What will happen? He will die of exposure in 14 turns. I wait 15 turns.
But
you're right to that episode.
You played with me. I do play to win.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah, you will. There is no there is no call that you will deny. There is no, bus that you will not throw under. There is no fellow PC that you will not sandbag. You will do whatever it takes so that your trollish antics and survival instincts persevere and you come out on top.
They're one shots. Doesn't matter.
You are the epitome of the expression in RPG terms of I don't have to outrun the bear. I just have to outrun.
That's
you.
what I said when I was running
literally
away.
even said that.
I said that. I literally said that when I was running away. Say, like, I don't need to outrun them. I just need to outrun you, and it worked because he got swarmed and eaten.
Like you'd be a really great person to play with, like play Paranoia with. That would be, because then it'd be like, wow, this guy's the best player I've ever seen in my entire life.
Well, I told you I played not the werewolf one. I played the clock tower one, the new one.
And Blood on the Clock Tower.
Yeah, Blood on the Clock Tower, and I got to the very, very, very end. And the only reason I almost made it, I was like, there was only 4 people left, and I was one of the 4. And I said something, and then this one guy, God, I hated that guy. He's one of those people like, oh, I've been playing this my entire life, and I know every single rule and every single thing. He would not stop talking about how much he loves the game and how much the game, and then I made a mistake and said something because I only played once. He's like, oh, that's not what that character does, blah 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 blah, he's a bad guy, kill him. And then I got killed, and I was like, it's like,
were you a bad guy?
But, yeah, of course.
I mean, he was right.
Yeah, he was. That was the point. But everyone, was the assassin, so that's the best one in the clock tower because I get to kill someone every no, I was where you take away their powers. That was
you're the poisoner.
The poisoner. I was the poisoner, and I did such a good job because everyone was like so confused. Yes, rules lawyer and fanboy, maybe. Yeah, but I'm someone you want to put. You want me on your team, though. You'd rather work with me than against me. How about that?
I'd rather have someone who isn't going to ditch me, though. If you were openly against me, you might ditch the other team.
In real life,
that would be easy for me.
In real life,
the future of RPGs is very safe. If you wanna keep playing D20 based games, there's plenty of other games out there. There's Pathfinder 2nd Edition. There's Tales of the Valiant. There's whatever other 5e clones are out there. But then there's also all these really cool, amazing games being made from Free League and Modifius and from countless independent creators all over the place. So
Yeah.
You know, at the end of the day, we don't need D&D anymore.
Nope.
I don't need it. I mean, honestly, I don't.
Yeah. And by the way,
it didn't take an OGL scandal or Pinkerton for me to come to that realization. And by the way, you might say, "Oh, so you don't play D&D anymore?" Nope. I played D&D several times over the last couple of years, and it had nothing to do with Wizards of the Coast. Doesn't matter. Wizards of the Coast could fire all their employees and set their building on fire, and it would not affect my Friday night plan. Now, when you start requiring your D&D Beyond subscription and all that other crap, well, then maybe your situation changes. And that's why I would highly recommend that you don't do that.
But at the same time, you still need them they're kind of the high watermark.
I don't care. I don't care. I want the hobby to be less popular.
Wow.
I do.
Yeah.
I'm not
I
trying.
thought you said you weren't going to be gatekeeping.
I know. I'm
Derek.
sorry. I can't help myself.
You're
I can't help it.
I want everyone to go through me. I give out the card whether or not you can be a role player.
I'm not saying that I am the keeper of that gate. I'm just saying if there's a gate, that's okay. No, it's not even that I want I don't want it to be that people are forcibly kicked out or made to be felt to be excluded. I just want to, I want the companies and I want the other thing to stop selling this, I don't know, false narrative, I guess is the term I'm kind of thinking of, where it's like they are so obsessed with growth that they are bringing in people into this hobby who maybe, I don't know, almost like they don't want to be here, you know, or they're here for the wrong reason. And or maybe even worse, you know, they get stuck in this ecosystem that isn't to their best benefit. It's to the company who brought them in's best benefit.
Derik decides,
Nope. I don't actually care. I don't sell game products. I don't even make, for free downloads on itch.io or DriveThruRPG, so I don't care. I just want to have fun with my friends and play cool games. And I have tons of cool games already. And when people make new ones, I pick those up. And sometimes I really like them. Sometimes I don't. And that's okay. But, again, I mean, that is a very selfish thing. But it's like the RPG industry. And I know I'm telling this to two people who are publishers. So, take this with a grain of salt. To a certain extent, I don't care what happens to the RPG industry. So, what's going on with D&D? No one even knows. I don't care. It doesn't matter to me. And I get it. Like it's a big deal for a lot of retailers and people who are in the business, but very selfishly, I just want.
Yeah, but
cool
there's been endless examples in history.
There's enough powers in Eldamon that I could play for the next 10 years just on that book alone.
Yes, but there is a million examples of history. It's like when the big bellwether, wherever the market leader is, dies or even just makes some missteps, it can hurt the whole industry as a whole. And that's happened many times.
It's certainly a disruption event.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And you don't know what's going to happen after that.
What I'm saying is the people I play games with and the people from my Patreon who I play games with or who are playing games with each other, I'm not going to go, the Wizards of the Coast files for bankruptcy. D&D is no longer being produced. They're stopping shipping on all books. And I'm not going to go to my Discord and go, guys, sorry, canceling all the games. And I show up at my Friday night group and a bunch of people are there and they're like, oh, I didn't think we were playing. And I go, why? They're like, oh, D&D went out of business. Didn't you hear? Our game's canceled, right? I mean, it has to be. It's like, no, I don't care. Like, oh, look at the puppy. Oh, Gigi.
Zoe.
Zoe. I had a German Shepherd named Zoe.
This is my doggie.
Oh, but my ex-girlfriend stole her from me. And
oh, sorry, Zoe. Sorry.
No, baby. Don't hurt the baby.
No, she's fine. She wants to get down.
And she's like, let me down.
Yeah, no one can pick her up. I'm the only one allowed to pick her up.
Puppies are cute. But yeah, so again, none of my friends and none of my patrons and none of my community would lose a wink of sleep, if Wizards of the Coast went out of business.
Yes, you're 100% right. I just look. I mean, I love D&D though. It's like everyone's like, I'm very excited. I want to see, but the whole thing is, and I said this before, I like the excitement. I like the anticipation. I like the build-up. And right. I want to see it. I want to see the build-up. People are like, oh, you hate D&D, you hate WotC. No, I hate what they're doing. I actually just hate their approach.
I like some mystery. I want to be surprised.
But you can have both. You can have mystery and surprise.
Like, let me put it this way. Are you the type of person who watches all the trailers before you see a movie?
No.
Are you the type of person who would rather not see? Like, I don't want to know anything. I don't want to know anything going into this movie.
Yes and no. I like to see one trailer just to get an idea, and then that's it. I don't need to see the 50 trailers, but I don't need one. I just need one.
Right.
Dude, you're talking to someone who saw Star Wars and then had to wait 3 years for Empire, and there was no information. You'd have to get your Starlog magazine and pray there was like 2-page spread on what might be happening.
That doesn't sound as bad, because Star Wars A New Hope ends on a very positive and uplifting moment. They've defeated the Empire.
Okay, let me rephrase that.
But after Empire Strikes Back.
After Empire, and they leave on that note, and everyone left the theater like, oh my God, now what? And then we had to wait 3 years. And when you're a kid, and I was 10 or whatever, 3 years might as well have been. That was a third of my life. I had to wait a third of my life.
And it's a shame, because the closest analog to that in modern movie makings is the end of Affinity War.
Endgame, yeah.
Yeah.
That was it.
Yeah. But because they were using this from the, from the comic book series, like, people who had read it already knew what was going to happen, But for a lot of people who didn't know it, like, that was their...
No, that was it. That was the event, because people were like, I remember, I've said this, I left that theater, people crying. I was like, the only time I've ever seen this was after Empire. Like, when everyone leaving the theater, like, like, and it was
it was a really amazing movie moment.
It was amazing. And then and no one, I didn't know what was going to happen. I was like, oh man, this is, and they made so many, those movies. I was one of those people, wherever they pre-sold it 2 weeks ahead of time. I got my tickets 2 weeks before it was coming out. I mean, that's how excited I was. And, but I want that for D&D. Is that really, am I such a bad person, Derek, of wanting to have excitement and to see previews? I do that with the Pathfinder books. I do that. People were doing that with the Eldamon. Like, we were putting on new Eldamon every week and showing people and telling people and putting on previews so people could see it and give us their feedback. And then we put out the actual book. It's like, it helped prime the pump. It helped get people excited.
I mean, you're talking to the wrong person here, because, on our channel, it's the joke is that Bob is the hype train, right? Man, he's the hype guy. He's always like, hype. Oh, Daggerheart hype. Oh, Aldemon hype. And I just don't care about hype. I never have. I don't, I'm not one of those people that just like, it doesn't matter to me. So, if D&D wants to play it close, tight to the chest, it's like, okay. Now, granted, like I said, that's really shitty for retailers, you know what I mean, who like have to make plans and should have a better appreciation of what's coming down the pike. But at the same time, it doesn't affect me personally.
Richard Hopper, I'll tell you my Return of the Jedi story. I've told it before, but I'll tell it again. Opening night, Roosevelt Field, with my friends. It's like 13 of us. Ooh. Okay, and we're waiting online, and back then there was only like 2 theaters. So it was on its megaplex, so, and there was no buying tickets ahead of time. That did not exist. You had to buy the ticket and then walk into the theater. So there was a line to just buy your ticket, and we got on the line and we had to wait 2 hours, because that's how long the movie is. And then we kept going through the line, and then we get like halfway through, and then we had to wait another 2 hours or whatever it was, 2.5 hours. And then we walk all the way up right to the doors, and they're like, no more. I was like, oh. So we're waiting, and the doors are right in front of us. We're the next group in, the first people in for the next group. So we wait another 2 hours. And then, of course, I bought the tickets. And now, I'll never forget, they said, when they were ready to let everyone in, they said, We are now letting in for Return of the Jedi. Will everyone please walk in an orderly fashion? And as he's saying the word orderly fashion, me and my 13 friends go, ah, and scream, and we just run because we've been online for like 6 hours and we couldn't hold it anymore, and we scream, and all of a sudden it was a freaking stampede, and it was us leading the charge and everyone storming into that theater, and it all kind of went blank after that. But that was my Return of the Jedi story. So
That's pretty good.
yeah, I also had to wait in line for 2.5 hours to see Conan the Barbarian. That'd
been cool.
That was with me, my friend, and my dad, because I was too young. I was only like 12.
I got to finally see Conan the Barbarian in theaters years ago at Gen Con when it was cool. And there's a movie theater in the mall complex across from Indy, the Indiana Convention Center.
Yeah, I've been there many times.
And they got into the habit after the first couple of years of Gen Con of always playing a bunch of nerdy movies, for the Gen Con people. And they played like Serenity one year, they played Star Treks, and then the one year they played Conan the Barbarian, and that was pretty cool. We got to go see Conan the Barbarian in theaters at Gen Con.
By the way, there's a drive-in theater right by my house. It's still in business. We went there during COVID, and we were so desperate to see something, anything. We saw Trolls World's Tour in our car to go see a theater. It was actually not a bad movie. So this wasn't great, but it was interesting. Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. I'm excited. I just see all these missed opportunities. Absolutely.
I'm not trying to excuse WotC's behavior. I think they have not they have fumbled the bag, as would be said.
It's endless, though. It's just
and it does read like a comedy of errors, right? Like to the point of being almost ridiculous, but somehow they've managed to stay afloat these 50 years. So
I live near Pleasantville. I don't live in Pleasantville, but I live near it.
Is that really the name of a town?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
I thought it was just the name.
There's one in Pleasantville, New Jersey. I think is where the drive-in is. I go to. I think it's in New Jersey. Yeah. Okay, it's not right by my house. It's like 40 minutes. There was one on Long Island. I don't know if it's still there or not, but I've been to that one. And not only that, the prices were really cheap. It was like hot dogs were only a couple bucks. It was like a drive-in with really cheap prices. I was like, this is great. I was like, who does that anymore?
Let me tell you, the cost of the hot dog at Progressive Field, not a couple dollars.
Dude, I don't want to talk about that. I'm looking forward to baseball season, and except for the pricing of
a hot dog and a soda will cost you like 15.
Oh no, hot dog! In Citi Field, whenever we get food for me, it's like me and my kid. It'll be $100 easily. I mean, I think Citi Field is the most expensive food in baseball, even more than Yankee Stadium. I mean, it's good, but it's
is that the one that? Which one has the Bobby Flay restaurant? Doesn't one of them have a Bobby Flay restaurant?
Not Citi Field.
Oh, maybe
they do. I don't know. I don't go to the. I go. I have my own routine.
Oh, you're a Mets fan, right?
Yeah, I'm a Mets fan, so I have my own routine. But it's insanely expensive, to the point of
Bobby's Burger Palace.
Oh, where's that?
I'm looking it up. I don't know. Apparently, there's one in Las Vegas.
There's always one in Las Vegas. Everything is in Las Vegas. You know that. Well, I am looking forward to baseball season.
Oh yeah, it's in New York's Yankee Stadium.
It is Yankee Stadium. Yeah, I didn't think
there's 3 locations. One's in New York's Yankee Stadium. One's in Las Vegas, and I don't know where the third one is.
I've been to Yankee Stadium in 10 years, but Citi Field, and then we're gonna go to Progressive. Is that what it's called? Progressive
Field.
They have a hot dog stand there where they have these crazy hot dogs. That's what I had last time I was there a couple years ago.
It's a nice stadium, I think.
It was very nice. I liked it quite a bit. And before the game, we went. There was a game store, whatever that street is over the bridge. We hung out there for a few hours, drank beer, played some games, walked over the bridge, and went to the baseball game the last time I was there.
Very nice.
So we can do that.
So I have a racquetball game at 5:30.
And I have a life.
So we'll probably wrap up here. But I think it's fantastic.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. Until one day I will be too old. I'm rapidly
I already
approaching it.
am. That's how I tore my knee a second time, was racquetball.
And then I'll just start playing pickleball.
I'll play I love
My
pickleball.
parents are still playing tennis.
I play tennis.
That's great.
And I play
great.
pickleball. I like pickleball a lot. I like it.
I think that the takeaway should be that I agree that the future of D&D seems murky at best, and the fact that they have been not that transparent with their result, what's going on, suggests that they don't know what's going on. And even if they do, the fact that they would rather not tell people about it doesn't bode particularly well. Because while Derik may not appreciate hype, most people do.
I will say that I did hear one last thing, and I'll leave us with this, is that in the end, does it really matter? Can anyone tell us, except for Mark, because Mark's a freak and he probably knows, when was Dungeons & Dragons 2014 released?
Wait, you just said Dungeons & Dragons 2014?
Right. Yeah, when was it released? Does anyone remember?
I mean,
Wait, wasn't Dungeons & Dragons 2014 released in 2014?
No, the
D&D
day.
Question?
The day.
Oh, the day.
Yeah, like, do you remember, was it, or even the month? Do you remember the month it was released? Does anyone remember when it was released? No one remembers.
I know that
the year.
I know that third edition came out in September of 2000, but
my point is that
was 2014 still when Gen Con releases happened,
don't know.
or had they already left Gen Con by then?
No, they were still a Gen Con. They were definitely still a Gen Con. They didn't have the Sagamore. I think
the D&D 5e starter set was released on July 15th, 2014. And
so slightly before Gen Con, so it was a ready for Gen Con release then.
Yeah, 32-page book.
My point is
that's what I would have guessed is July or early August, but
the core rule books were released later that year. The Player's Handbook came out August 19th, which suggests
I remember that, where they got the beginner book out before the core rule book. That was an interesting timing that no one usually does. I think served them well due to the fact that having an acquisition beginner product,
that's the
it's useful for wizards if their experienced players own it. Yeah, but experienced players sometimes won't buy it unless it's the only thing they can get.
That's the Flandelver one, right?
Yeah, that's a great
pretty
adventure.
Good one.
It's a the first half. I don't remember the second half that great.
Yeah, the adventure's pretty good, and they got people to buy it because it was the only thing they could buy, who might ordinarily have skipped a starter set, and that could have helped them, I think.
Yeah, I actually think I own that, which is saying something.
My point is that, and this is what I heard, it's like, in the end, does it really matter when it comes out? Because you only get to release it once, and whether you release it in March or April or June or September or December, you gotta just do a good job. And if you don't, it's late. It can be late once, but it's bad forever. So you got to make sure you do a good job. So I totally get it. I totally see them wanting to take their time, and they have these.
I hope they do take their time and make it as good as they can. I hope they're allowed to do that.
Yeah.
In fact, I think it's great that, you know what? I've been in the industry long enough. I think it's actually good that when that date got sent out there in public and somebody thought it was the date, the one that was way wrong, way too early, I'm glad there wasn't some executive at Hasbro who was like, look, now that we put that date out there in people's heads, they're going to be expecting it. So you were going to get it out there no matter what it does to your schedules, no matter what it does to your overtime, and no matter what you have to cut to get it out there. I'm glad that did not happen. And they instead said, oh, no, that was a mistake. That those dates are not right, and then they let them keep going, because in some world there's a possibility that they decided they didn't want to retract the date and they tried to force it to be rushed.
By the way, Ratty is correct. It was from Miyamoto from Nintendo. It wasn't exactly that quote, but it was a quote basically to that extent, because I would go to E3 and he did have that, like, because people were like, why is Zelda taking so long? And it was like, hey man, taking our time, it's like, it's could be bad forever. We only got one chance.
You know, you gotta hand it to them because I know so many people have played Flandelver.
Oh, everyone has.
And you look at this, and this was $19.99. This was $20.
Yes.
And it had a 64-page adventure book. That's like the size of like a PF2 AP.
Yeah, I'll tell you,
32-page rule book to go characters levels 1 through 5.
Yep.
Dice and 5 pre-gen characters, and it
was a major loss leader.
Oh, big time! But like
I don't
also
know,
just like
major. I'm looking at that. That thing maybe cost them $4.
I don't know about that, Steven. I like those dice can get the plastic on the dice can get more expensive than you think.
They're buying it at insane amounts.
Okay, you're right. They're buying it in numbers that I don't know, but based on everything I know, and
those dice are like. Hold up those dice.
I think it's a loss leader.
They're still in the bag.
Those are like 9-cent dice. Those are 9-cent dice. Okay, those are not expensive. It might be a loss leader. But I don't think it's a loss leader. I think they at most broke even. But I don't think that box, especially back then, I can get that box now for about $8 printed, maybe even less. Back then, you could probably get that for $2 or $3. And if you're printing 100,000 of those, which they probably were, that thing is like pennies.
I'm just saying it doesn't match my experience, but you're right that that they were doing it at different numbers.
Yeah,
I know that Paizo put a lot more deluxe stuff into the beginner box.
Way more expensive.
It's even more packed.
Oh
it's
no, that thing is
more
ridiculous.
Expensive stuff. But even then, the dice were a pretty significant percentage.
They got the wrong dice.
Are still in there.
I've seen dice. The thing is, so I'm always looking. I've seen dice as cheap as 5 cents, and I've seen dice. And this is wholesale, $100. I mean, dice are all over the place.
Yeah. It's also interesting to me how much the game changed from what they expected it to be.
But the game will remain the same.
Well, no, it didn't though.
I know it didn't.
Flandelver is just like a kill the monsters, take their stuff. And on the back of this, it says explore subterranean labyrinths, plunder hordes of treasure, battle legendary monsters. Like this was very much like this could have been Keep on the Borderlands.
No, it is Keep on the Borderlands to a lot of people. It's a very good adventure, and more importantly, that is a very traditional adventure. It's a very very
I'm just
good
saying, contrast that with the modules they make nowadays, right? Like Ice Maiden and the Feywild. It's all
all talking.
Yeah, very different. And that's
as
what
my
I'm saying.
Players say after an hour of talking. Enough talk. They'll kick open the door. They're like sick of it. They're like, "Where's the fight?" They can't stand it. My players can never go more than
for combat.
They do. They can't go more than an hour. An hour is about the longest they can go.
You know who else can't go more than another minute because of his racquetball game?
Me.
Derik. That's fine. Hey, Derik was the one who kept talking.
I know.
You're the one who got your starter set. There's my starter set. Look at this, $19. What a set! Hey, why don't you run us through the starter set
of what?
D&D.
D&D?
Yeah.
I don't think I ever have.
Oh, there you go. I think it's a fun adventure.
Yeah. See, what I would be more likely to do is run you through the starter set, but use like Dungeon World.
No, that's boring.
Well, how is that boring? Why would you want to play 5e, a game that everyone has played a million times before at a con?
Steven hasn't played it a million times.
That's exactly why. Because people coming over like, oh, look, it's Derik and Steven. What are they playing? Starter set 5th edition. People will just make fun of us forever. It's great.
I got a reputation to maintain here, Steven. I can't afford it.
Dude, it's so retro. It's cool.
Look, I do not have a problem with 5th edition D&D. Yes, we bounced off of it.
I don't have a problem with it either.
In fact, after we went from, here's how we went. We went from 3rd edition to 3.5 to 4th edition, 4th edition, 4th edition, 4th edition. Then we played some other games like that weren't deep fantasy or anything like that. Then we played 5th edition for like 6 months. and then we went to PF1. So I didn't start playing Pathfinder 1 until like 2013 ish time frame, 2014. So like, in fact, so I did, because I was playing 4th edition, so I didn't make the jump to PF1 when, was it 2009 or 2010 when it first came out.
All right. Now I'm going to let you go.
All right. Thank you. All right. Well, thank you, everybody. And thank you, Stephen and Mark, for having me on. I look forward to doing an Eldamon rap, or not an Eldamon rap. Sorry, that's Mark. An Eldamon theme song. And yeah, it should be fun. And and I'm definitely going to do the audio. Now, the question is, am I going to make an accompanying video? That, if I have time for that, I'd like to try. But...
Oh, you have
Thanks for being on the show, Derik. And as Stephen has me say, for some reason, until next time, if you want to battle the zoo, you have to roll for combat.
Bye.
Nice.